Welcome one, welcome all. It came so fast, but we are finally up and ready for postseason action in the return to the Risen Champs League. And you guys are getting as much talent as we could possibly pull. I mean, with how the season's gone with guys, we haven't really had three people, I would say, too often covering these Risen Champs games. I'm going to be joined, obviously, by Gordo and Goferino. The two casters will be taking you through our best of 5 play-in here. And Gordo, I know last week we got to look at one of these squads in particular, Nuke Hunters. They had to really win to even get to this point here. And now they've got themselves stacked up against a pretty tough roster from the other division.
Yeah, as is often the case, Slayer, it gets to be just a little bit dangerous as you start to advance through the tournament as one of these lower seeds. Your reward for beating another tough opponent and qualifying is that you get to play up against another tough opponent, and that's definitely going to be the case here for Gentle Hearts Gaming. They are facing off against pretty highly rated team. They were really high up on our tier list that we did in the preseason, and they have managed to make it to this stage. And their reward is that they play against the lower seed from Group B, which in this case is going to be those Nuke Hunters.
And yeah, we can't talk too much about how, these two teams stack up. We'll do that in a bit because we already got to go live with the draft here. So let's make sure we're all the way over as we've sped through a lot of these picks. Gentle Hearts Gaming on that blue side and Go Farino. We're already seeing a change. We're on that 13.20 patch, and 180 carry is really standing out amongst the others that we've seen for so long. Jinx, first picked here for Gentle Hearts Gaming.
Yeah, unsurprising. I mean, she got some pretty big noticeable buffs here, especially the passive change. And yeah, very easy to just snatch on up. A lot of the other meta ADCs have been nerfed because of Worlds. Of course, the response is going to be that Azir and J4. J4 we have been seeing quite a bit of after the Shojin changes. But Azir, kind of interesting, has dropped off just a tiny bit from that pedestal in the mid lane after some slight nerfs. But Nuke still putting prio on the bird.
Still putting that big time prow on Azir, like you mentioned. Ari has been a routine answer, I feel like, to, control mages like to play back like that Azir. But Newcomers, they do get another pretty strong pick as well, Gordo, in the jungle. J4 not going anywhere for really the rest of the year, I feel like.
Yeah, very unlikely that they'll be disappearing anytime soon. We'll see. We're going to get that kind of mini preseason patch coming before too long. Who knows what's going to change once that one actually hits us. But for the current patch, the first post-Worlds patch, we are going to be seeing some pretty similar to Worlds meta to be found. Maybe a little bit of jungle changes here and there. That Nocturne, I've seen a lot on this patch. I saw it in the Salty Runback Invitational a couple of times. Now seeing it locked in here for Gentle Hearts Gaming. That's going to be a new pick for Krakadon. He has not run it yet in the league, and not really direct buffs to it, but maybe just with a little bit of the changing of the jungle environment, they feel like this pick is a little bit better.
Mhm. Another big reason is people are kind of catching on to Strybreaker right now. I know more and more champions have been picking up that item, and Nocturne has just historically loved that item because you kind of guarantee the slow. So that's gonna be great tools to just throw in this backline here if new countries are trying to go for a very strong front to back here at double carries.
It does have its caveats though whenever you run it because you do have to worry about. I've seen a lot of nocturnes falter when the game goes on, especially now that newcomers are really just kind of leaning fully into that scaling. You lock in the Senna, which is another one of those champions that's seen a rise in the bottom lane here. Obviously you could slide into 80 carry. You've seen the Senna a little bit more in that farming fasting Senna role, but still a lot of flexibility for the newcomers. It is interesting to see though that on that red side, Gordo, they prioritized soul lane so heavy, they've kind of landed themselves with not the strongest counter pick possibility for that R5 pick.
It does mean that they get to go for a totally different direction, though. With the lock in of this Senna, you can really go for some non traditional pairings in the bottom lane. Senna Samira, going to be one I've seen a couple of times. Senna Nyla coming up.
Yeah.
Senna Tom Kench is still viable. Senna Cho'Gath is another one that you can go for in there. There's all sorts of different options you can go for in that bot lane. I think the Senna's kind of busted right now. I really like this for the Nuke
Oh,
Hunters that they've gotten the old
Ooh,
classic Senna Tom
wow.
Kench. Lucian Nami finally makes its way out of the meta, but Senna and Lucian, they've split up a little bit. They don't really play together. They found themselves nice relationships with very nice fish people. And Senna going to be paired up with Tom Kench this time around. Going to be an exciting one to see back for sure until we get sick of it in a couple of games.
Yeah, certainly, right? And it can be such an annoying thing to play against, especially for a bottom lane that you potentially want to be aggressive in. I really like this pick, not necessarily in response to what Gentle Hearts Gaming are going to try and throw in the bottom lane. Jinx, while she did get those big buffs, it's all about how she becomes the biggest late game hyper carry like we've known her to always be with her kit. Rakan does make it the fact that, yeah, sure, they might want to play a little bit aggressive, but Jinx you're usually farming up for. I think this Tom Kench pick is masterful because it, in a lot of ways, Go Freno, it's just going to be a direct answer to this Nocturne once level 6 comes online for the bottom lane and that Nocturne, and just as the game goes on.
I mean, it's a direct answer for the Nocturne and Ari, really, because you have to gobble up here to gobble up either of these carries that are getting dived upon. That and also it's just a great pick in to kind of neutralize this lane, because like you mentioned here, the Jinx does kind of want to farm up and scale. If that Rakan goes in, you are going to be eating a lot of damage in a trade here. It does go on for a while, so we'll see how this bot lane does pan out here, because it does take a little bit of time to get going, and I'm curious to see if it's going to be the fasting Senna where you don't farm for a bit, then start farming, or if it is going to be the full support Senna with just the farming Tom Kench here.
Yeah, good certainly
Curious
points
about that
to
too.
raise. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that, Slayer. But
No.
yeah, I'm curious about it too. I do think it's more likely to be fasting. Most folks are taking it fasting these days.
Mhm.
Just making sure that you get to maximize your soul output, really start to stack up the bonus range, and really get to make use of the parts that make Senna, I think, particularly broken, especially when you can start getting into those 100 stack Senna games and start really getting to unfair levels of range.
Yeah, that's exactly the name of the game here. But intriguing part of this draft that I kind of want to discuss with you guys here is obviously Nuke Hunters have kind of boxed themselves into we are playing for the later game. We're playing for those big kind of 5v5 team fights because we've got the Croc, scaling Senna, Azir scales well, alongside Tom Kench and J4 just being kind of nuisances as a front line and a lot of crowd control when it comes to that. Gentle Hearts, they've gone for the more traditional answer in a lot of ways. We talked about the Nocturne, the Ari, this Rakan. They could do a lot of things early once they get their ultimates online. They love to skirmish, right? I'm curious how, Gordo, you might feel about this Ornn when you see that Renekton so early. Obviously, Ornn can be that safe answer to the Renekton when you don't want to give up a lead. But would you like to see something a bit more aggressive, given how Gentle Hearts Gaming are really going to want to spike kind of in the mid game and not let this get too far out of hand?
It makes sense. They didn't know that the Senatom Kench was for sure going to be the selection when they originally picked the Jinx, but I still think their plan is going to be really centered around the Jinx. And
Hmm.
this champion, after its latest round of buffs, if you can get that first kill or so, it really does become a mega hyper scaling pick in its own right. The fact that you're uncapped on your attack speed stacking now is absolutely insane, and I think you could kind of play for that to try to start getting your first couple of resets, get onto any target you can find, melt them down, and then rely on an Ori B to carry you through. That's kind of been the game plan for Gentle Hearts all the way going back to the beginning, whether it be on these hyper carries or on something more lane dominant like the kind of Callistas of the world and the Caitlins and the Dravens that Anori B is really known for. They want to put everything into him in the bottom lane, and I think the Ornn enables that game plan really effectively.
Certainly does a really good job with those ornamentations like you're talking about to put Jinx on that pedestal. So a lot of pressure going to be on an Ori B as the game goes on later here. But certainly, you look at the Krakadon, Ariendel on this Nocturne Ari, Gofrino, you expect them to be kind of play that catalyst role right in the mid game to create some plays.
I mean, you got a lot of playmaking potential here. You got Rakan, you got Nocturne, you got Ari. All three great champions for just trying to single someone out that steps out a little too far forward and just trying to make the most of it here. It might be a little bit difficult against new hunters. You only realistically have two targets, it feels like, because it is going to be a little hard to catch other Nectin. It is going to be a little hard to catch out the Jarvan. And Tom Kench is Tom Kench Gaming, so very fat, but you do still have some nice targets here to try and catch on and really leverage that to break open the game or get yourself some nice early leads here to get your other members up on par.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's such important. Is you got to make sure those other members are at a certain stature here. Well, we've talked a lot about, we didn't get to do too much coverage in the pre-show. These teams really want to get into draft. Like we talked about, folks, it's a best of five, right? You're kind of
Mhm.
playing to get into the playoffs. I don't mean to pour salt into a sore wound, but the format is actually eerily similar to the Golden Guardians BDS series for Worlds play-ins. We're not going to bring up the outcome of that one, but we
Right.
certainly predicted the outcome of this series. We didn't get to show it, so let's throw up those predictions for just a moment here to check out exactly what all of us casters as broadcast team across the board have really felt like this series is going to go. And the one screaming outlier here, Gordo, is we're all backing a certain squad.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that a lot of folks are going to be supporting Gentle Hearts Gaming here. They kind of come into the day on the favorite. It's not like your BDS versus Golden Guardian situation where there's plenty of reasons to be hyped up on both sides. There's definitely some room to fight back here for the Nuke Hunters, but they're going to come in as the underdog. That's going to be the case probably for most folks across the board when you look at the rosters, when you look at how they've been able to be performing up against the field over the course of the group stage. Gentle Hearts Gaming, they come in as a favorite, but with the patch changes, with the fact that we haven't had cross group play, there's some room here for an upset, and Nuke Hunters are just going to have to show us what they can do.
And hey, you're always playing with the fact that, underdog mentality. I mean, fans of, the two big uncapped leagues that we have right now in North American Amateur. You've obviously got Risen Champs over here, but
Mhm.
Gordo knows all too well that in Aegis Champions League, it's just been upset city. No favorite in any of those showcase matches have actually ended up coming away with the wins here. And we certainly have had our fair dosage of underdogs winning here over at Risen Champs. And Goverino, is that part of your logic why you think this one will see at least Nuke Hunters grab a game?
Yeah, I mean, Duke Hunters have had some impressive results this season from what I've seen, and I've liked them. Um, I'm really curious how the new patch does change that, though. Like everyone else, though, I am favoring Gentle Hearts Gaming. I just think Nuke Hunters will be able to put up a fight here.
Well, certainly going to want to start off on the right foot here because best of fives are a whole different animal when it comes to Summoner's Rift and just any of these series. It's certainly weird to have a best of five right out the gate here in the postseason playoffs, but if you're Nuke Hunters, you're looking to play into a chaotic upset to get yourself into that top four. It's time to finally kick off this start to the game, guys. So I'll say see you later, Gordo, go Farino. Start us off, Nuke Hunters versus Gentle Hearts Gaming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Slayer, as we are on to the Rift for game number 1. Nuke Hunters taking on Gentle Hearts Gaming. GHG coming away as the heavy favorite in our predictions, but going to be a full best of 5 to find out which of these teams is going to be dominant on the day. Go Farino.
And won't find out who's dominant in this game number 1 just yet. It is a very calm level 1. Everybody just taking the easy way out here. And just, yeah.
Yeah, going to
We're
chill out.
chilling.
A good opportunity to talk about our playoff format a little bit here, because this is an elimination match. You got to get yourself into top 4 before you earn the right. They got to play in this double elim bracket. It's really a lot similar to the Swiss stage at Worlds when you think about it. The Saknom's going to take a little bit of damage there. But basically, when you're in an elimination match, it's a best of 5. When you're not in an elimination match, it is a best of 3. So the winner here will go on to play against one of the CCG teams in a best of 3 next week. But best of 5 here to decide who's going to get to survive and make it to that double elim bracket at all.
Yeah, and it's going to be a grueling one to say the least here, I'm assuming. I mean, all best of 5s usually feel kind of grueling, not going to lie. Even when it's only 3 games, like, it really takes you back, like, it took that long? Damn, okay. But both junglers just going to be starting off here all hunky-dory. No leash for Krakadon. It means Pockus and Inori able to get a nice little bit of deep vision there. Keep track of where Saknom is. Keeping track of where the enemy jungler is, especially Jarvan early on. Really nice to have because Jarvan known for early ganks, and if you have an idea where the fourth of those Jarvans are, then you at least have a little bit more of a heads up.
Yeah, Valley taking up the early level 2 here, though. Going to use that to pressure back Diesel to keep him on the back foot for as much of this laning phase as they can. It's what you pick the Renekton to do. It's why he's such a high priority, and a good start so far from Valley, hoping that Diesel will get denied a couple of CS from that turret.
Yeah, you're really going to want to have Valley push their advantage early on in this lane because as the game goes on, it really does become what feels impossible for the Renekton to kill the Ornn because Ornn just gets naturally so tanky. You get 10% bonus armor and MR, you get all that bonus health, 10% actually also as well, and Renekton not really good at shredding through that. So we'll see what Valley can do early on here to establish control in this lane. Definitely having some favorable traits here with that conk proc, with these slices and dices just to heal up a little bit with that cold to meek.
Absolutely. Saknom hunting up in this turret here, or in this lane rather, hanging out in the bush, waiting for jump onto Diesel. There's going to be a stun from Valley. Saknom coming through, flag and drag, gets flashed away by Diesel. Saknom tries to convert the knockup, but shorts it just a little bit and does not get that CC. Diesel will escape with his life.
Ooh. Just barely cost the flash of this Gentle Hearts top laner. We'll be able to come back just fine, though, with the TP. No sums, though, means it should be easier to abuse this Ornn in the top lane. And yeah, back to a little bit of calm on the Rift.
Definitely. Looking over towards the mid lane here, Ariandel on his Ahri, keeping the wave pushed on up, going to be looking for roam angles when he can get them, and Holy Kurt pretty low on HP. He denied some farm there as well, going to have to take the recall. Meanwhile, Saknam is still hovering top lane, wants to get that repeat gank onto Diesel, will get face checked, gets the knockup, nice immune from Diesel with the Bellows Breath, and he's just going to waltz on out of there. Saknam spending a lot of time in this top lane and not getting a lot out of it.
Yeah, just got that one flash there. Gets a little bit of chip damage on this gank, but that shouldn't convert into too much here. And we can see, because of all that time spent in the top lane, Krakadon, 3 camps up on the opposition right, or 2 camps up on the opposition right now. Should be 3 camps. Just a second. Oh, might see a little bit of a scuffle over these Raptors here. I see Krakadon heading on in. While top lane's getting very feisty. Don't think anyone's gonna die there.
Definitely, and Krakadon, you know, he knows how much time Saknam spent up there. He saw what his health bar was like. He can assume that a recall is going to be coming through before too long. Gets himself the birds there and developing a bigger lead. Those early camp steals on the Nocturne especially feel so much more impactful. They get you faster to that level 6. They let you get access to Paranoia sooner, and that's when you get to do your Nocturne gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, even though Jarvan, not the most gold-intensive jungler, you know, really nice to have as this Nocturne. Very close to death in his bot lane here. Poor reasoning, able to get out of there with that Abyssal Voyage, with that thick skin, great health, and yeah.
Yep. It is poor reasoning, by the way, on the farming Tom Kench, so it is, as we anticipated, going to be fasting Senna. She's just going to be farming up off the support item, picking up whatever souls she can find, and definitely going to be on Arch to be able to scale up into the later game and be a big force to be reckoned with there. He's trying to catch this wave, but he's so low on base stats as that Senna that can't hold it for very long. You really need poor reasoning there if you're going to go for that, and they're going to lose a plate. I don't think the plate gold went to anybody, though.
Yeah, plate gold went to no one there, so it's just down some health. And yeah, first bag's coming on out here. The Tab Eye is picked up, though, for poor reasoning. Gonna help out a lot here. Jinx, kind of purely auto-attack damage, especially in trades, so this is gonna give you, like, a free 12% damage reduction in these trades. All in on the top
Here
side.
Valley stepping up, going for a trade. Diesel actually going to come out of that one pretty effectively, though. Has been able to construct himself a couple of ruby crystals. Meanwhile, poor reasoning finds a started dragon, will escape, and will regen up with the gray health, but Krakadon's going to be able to secure this one, as Saknam is still in that top lane, still trying to set behind this Ornn. Arch took so much damage there. Will be able to get on out. Ariandel blowing the ultimate to apply some pressure.
Yeah. Poor Nuke Hunter's bot lane here. They've been just getting all in constantly on the bot side. Just having a back here. Haven't given up any deaths, though, thankfully for them, but you can see it reflecting the CS score. Poor reasoning. Down about 20 CS right now. Dominus popped.
Dominus popped by Valley, going all in up against Diesel, at least going to try to lower his health bar. Maybe setting up for a future dive. Diesel very low here. Valley's going to try to take this all the way. Underneath the turret, flashes in, paths backwards. Will be able to pick up the first blood, mono e mono, but will go down, and this huge wave is crashing to the turret.
Yes, sir. Although, we'll see, because death timers are lower this patch. Oh, wait, you don't have TP wave. So, there's going to be a lot of lost minions in this top side. Thankfully for Valley, first blood, that is an extra 100 gold in their pockets. You can see, giving them the pickaxe here. Diesel, though, able to get gold back in that trade like we mentioned. Now has the Balmy Cinder here, just going to let him sit in the middle of waves and be hunky-dory. Bit of a contest coming out here. Ariandel has to be careful. You don't have that Spirit Rush back up just quite yet, but it's giving you a little bit more pressure here to wrestle control of this Rift Herald.
Got a baby chicken. Not much else, but we'll try to use this to be able to pick up the Rift Herald. Here's an engage, but a little bit leaving the Arch undefended. He's going to get forced back out very quickly. Now, poor reasoning, the next target. Ninja Tabby protected him a little bit, as will the Gray health, but these health bars are so low for Arch and poor reasoning, and Nori B and Pockus really taking control in this bottom lane.
Yeah, the Senna Kench lane, not the most aggressive here, so even though they're able to take a beating here from the Stricon Jinx combo, it means that Nori and Pockus just able to go for these all-ins constantly. You see that, it kind of feels like the Grand Entrance is being used off cooldown here from Pockus.
Yeah, it really does feel that way, and Hawk is justified in doing so, right? The base stats on the Senna are very low. You get engaged on by something like a Rakan in this early game, the impact is felt pretty dramatically. And all in all, it's about a 20 CS lead for the Gentle Hearts bot lane when we compare them over to the Nuke Hunters. And you got to feel very good about that, especially when you have this Jinx, you have that mid-game fight potential that Slayer was talking about in the pregame.
And even scarier because this is the buff Jinx. Can snowball those fights so much harder now with the uncapped attack speed. Haven't come to any big team fights yet, though. Only just cresting 10 minutes here in about 20 seconds time. So, gonna be a little bit of time before that. Pocket's a little caught out here. Does have Grand Entrance. Does have the Blast Cone.
Great
Looks to be
heads up play
fine.
there. Pacus finds his best escape route instantly. Grand Entrance is over to the Blast Cone. Sakdom looking for a fight. Maybe going to be outnumbered,
they're
though.
gonna pay.
Paranoia right on top of him, and Krakodon punishes the over-aggression. A second kill coming through for Gentle Hearts Gaming, and this is going to be a Rift Herald and a little bit more.
Gentle Hearts Gaming just kind of wrestling control of the map right now here, Gordo. They got the first Dragon, they got the first Herald. They're looking to pick up first turret here. It's going to be 4 plates worth of gold going over to this Jinx to the left. They were split, of course, but that's a lot of gold in this Jinx's pocket, and should definitely have the Kraken Slayer here on this next back. And Gentle Hearts Gaming just kind of slowly clawing a nice lead in this game on all fronts, it feels.
Absolutely. They are taking that bot turret incredibly early. It's going to net them about a 1.5k gold lead. Currently, most of that is going to be sitting on Inori B, and that's exactly where you would want it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're up this much in CS, got all those turret plates, you're pretty damn happy. Richest person in the game, in fact.
Hard to be anything
death
but
on
Ariandel
Charm.
finds a nice engage onto Holy Curb, dashing forward, landing the charm. Knight is ticking away. Ariandel had one more Spirit Rush, will force the flash with it, but now here is going to be the engage from Sakdom. Another dash out. I guess Ariandel had one more in the tank.
I didn't see one more. Oh.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I wonder if that was a spec bug. I wonder if that was a Jarvan bug. I'm not sure. I just looked at the instant replay on the stream, and it kind of just looked like Ariandel walked right through the wall.
That's what it looked like to me. Like, no, because that clearly did not look like a dash. That's good knock-up, speaking of dashes.
Yeah, Pacus going to find a nice chains PC there alongside Krakodon, and that's going to go right into Inori B's pockets. They are funneling the Jinx Goferino, and with plate gold to back it up, this is going to be a wealthy bot laner.
Insanely wealthy. I mean, they're already the richest person in the game, and now they get a kill under their belt. They get even more plates under their belt. And Nuke Hunters, they really have to find something to rally behind here. Even though the scoreboard says 3-1, just all this extra gold from the CS, all the extra gold from these plates, propelling Gentle Hearts Gaming up to this 3,000 gold lead, 2,000 gold lead.
So much money in their pockets. Here's Paranoia coming through, going to land the slow on the Holy Curb. A double knock-up as he predicts the flash. Sakdom getting into the wrong spot at the wrong time. Will be able to back out away, and Arch manages to clean one back up. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far, but Arch is so low. Charm doesn't quite connect, but poor reasoning is looking to keep this fight going. Paul the Forge God lands a knock-up onto 2, and Sakdom's going to drop down to Ariandel, who gets another charge of the rush. Now looking to finish off poor reasoning. It's a fully stacked up ultimate. Charm connects onto Arch. Diesel isn't tanking though, and an execute onto Ariandel will stop the play in its tracks. A huge win for Gentle Hearts regardless.
And now the gold lead has just rocketed up here to 4.5k almost. Good lord. Yeah, Gentle Hearts Gaming very firmly in control of this game number 1 here, and that does not spell good news for the rest of the series here if you are Nuke Hunters. Of course, you were at least able to get 1 kill back there, but you lost so much for it. You lost all those plates. You lost, what, 3 kills yourself? Not a good look, bestie.
Not what you're hoping for at all. Ariandel coming back with a couple of fiendish codexes, getting some reading done here with the assortment of books in the inventory. going to be very strong at the back of getting a couple of additional kills. Unfortunately, dropped the Dark Seal stacks off that execute. So even though you don't give over gold, you do lose something of value, but still having a great performance on the Ahri regardless, and has been able to enable the rest of the team very effectively.
Yep, first world problems, to say the least. You got a 3-for-1, but you lost your harvest stacks, or you lost your Dark Seal stacks.
Ooh,
There's the
another nice
knock-up.
double knock-up from Pacus, followed up with by the Paranoia, and everybody's just pinned in one spot thanks to that Cataclysm. 3 more kills over to Gentle Hearts Gaming. Mid lane outer turret's going to fall, and they can find themselves plenty more off the back of the Nori's passive.
Yep, and it's not even 15 minutes in, but it definitely feels like it's a go next angle here for Nuke Hunters, because they're already just down in the pot so much. Like, you have minions knocking on your inhib turrets, and it just hit 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's really snowballing out of control now. They've been trying to rotate Arch and Poor Reasoning around to try to match all of the gold that's being funneled into Anori and Pacus, but yeah, they are just getting punished for that over and over again. Great engages found by Pacus and Krakadon time and time again, and now severely limited in who they have to play through, right? Holy Kerp would be the best candidate, but is just getting punished in his mid lane over and over again, and now is stuck on kind of farming up side lane duty.
And whew, yeah, this is such a hard place to be in right now if you're Nuke Hunters. Like, what do you do? The Senna Kench lane just fell so far behind, and now there's a 2-0-3 mega farm Jinx that's going to absolutely kill everyone on your team. I'll hold that thought because we just should see a bit of a quickness here in the bot lane into a kill.
Have to see is following up. They don't quite find any pushback on any individual target. Ariandel's actually in the back line. He's found Holy Kerp fleeing, but will fall, and now going to be following up on the rest of the fight. Anori B kind of caught up on their own in the jungle, getting hunted down by Poor Reasoning, get licked down by that Tom Kench. But now look at Ariandel and what they're going to be able to do. They have got multiple accesses of the Spirit Rush, and have to get over the wall, and now going to focus damage onto Arch, going down to the Orb of Deception, while Valley cleans up on the other side. Poor Reasoning now in a one-on-one, doesn't get hit by the Call of the Forge God, but Ariandel doesn't care. Ariandel's resetting all over the place and will escape with a triple kill.
And that was kind of about as good as it gets here for the Nuke Hunters. You had a 5 versus 4 for a lot of that fight. Diesel not teleporting in until the very end when things were kind of already over, but huge shoutouts to Krakadon there, just popping the Paranoia and then flying back into, just despite Holy Carp there. Very, very cheeky maneuver, and the gold lead has expanded just a little.
Indeed it has. Now the next dragon going to get started up. They want to be able to scrape together however many of these that they can, but Diesel's arrived to the party, and Ori B and Krakadon have already respawned. The fight was going for so long, and Valley has already lost so much HP. Ariandel on the flank just blows up the front line like it ain't no thing, and now chasing down over the wall. Arch going to be the first one to fall as Anori B is getting excited, and Saknam's low enough on health that he's got nowhere left to run to. There's going to be the charm landing on Holy Kerp, and Poor Reasoning is going to be the next target. 1 versus 4. The odds are against him, and he will drop 16-5 in favor of Gentle Hearts Gaming.
Pacus is just in their base, bro. Just to give them a bit of an extra hard time. And yeah, Gentle Hearts Gaming, they further their lead here. They stamp their foot down even harder on this game. And, oh, Cataclysm coming on out.
Yeah, there's 4 members locked on in there. Diesel could create an escape route, but is just going to fight it out instead. They managed to take down Saknam. Ariandel still largely untouched. Anori B is still alive. He's kiting it out. Valley can't get to him. Finally, he'll drop, but the rest of the team is falling around him. Ariandel cleans up another double. 9, 1, and 6, fully stacked up Magi's here for the Ahri, and they're not going to stop this push, even with respawns coming in. They've got 5 seconds on Saknam, 5 on Arch.
Are we going to see the Dancing Herald? Are we going to see the Dancing Herald here? People are coming back up. They're falling back. No Dancing Herald. No.
Closed one.
Alright, that's the safety Paranoia.
Going to throw down the Paranoia just for a little bit of disruption. and to stop Saknam from finding a Cataclysm target. He doesn't have Cataclysm, though, so they're just going to have to back off.
And when the dust settles, 10,000 gold between these two teams. Can't imagine there's going to be too much longer in this game number 1. Gentle Hearts Gaming just coming out swinging on all fronts, it feels like.
It really does feel that way. It's going to have to be something miraculous from the side of the Nuke Hunters to be able to come back in this one, as more and more getting funneled over into an Ori B. He's going to walk away with the blue buff to get that little bit of extra gold and XP. And Ariandel is a substantial problem now, completing a full-on Cosmic Drive off the back of the gold from the last couple of fights. Now going to be coming in as a 3-item Ari pre 20 minutes.
Yeah. Like, the lead is at such a point that all these members of Gentle Hearts Gaming kind of have half an item to a full item up on their counterpart here. And they're going in on Diesel.
Follow up here, Ariandel dashing forward. Diesel gets the knock up onto 2. They are going to Emperor's Divide them back underneath that turret, but that turret just means nothing to the Gentle Hearts squad. They are going to be able to clean up 2 in trade for Diesel, and now re-arriving in pace, they are looking to close things out here at the 20-minute mark, and Ori B going to be exhausted, but still attacking plenty fast. As they step on in, they have got pockets to lead the charge. Krakadon coming on in behind them. A 4-man siege should be enough with Saknam still preoccupied in the top lane. Gentle Hearts Gaming are going to take a dominant game number 1.
Yeah, in just a second here, there are some stats being padded. There's some KDAs being padded. The Cataclysm in, and then the immediate jump on out. And there is the Nexus in what was a very dominant and solidifying game number 1, which sets a really worrying trend here for the rest of the series if you are a Nuke Hunters fan or player.
It really does. It really does. There's a bunch to be spoken about here. Let's get Slayer back on in to chat about that game, as things are looking sideways for the Nuke Hunters.
Is there much to chat about, gentlemen? I mean, that was that was an absolute dismantling. I mean, there's one thing to play a composition where you're sitting back and you're saying, all right, we'll play here to just scale, right? We don't have to necessarily do too much in the early game. We just can't really give away any leads. And I gotta really just give a lot of credit over to guys like Kraken on Ariandel. We talked about the fact that at this draft, you pick Nocturne and Ari beside scalers like this Ornn, and especially that Jinx for an Ori B. And they just routinely were making sure an Ori B was constantly ahead. And he got so far ahead so early, in fact, that late game Jinx came along, I don't know, 15 minutes earlier than expected.
Yeah, basically. Like, it was 20 minutes in, and that Jinx was probably a 2.5 items if they do back there. But the Nexus kind of blew up, which meant they were sitting on a bit of income there that they couldn't spend, sadly. First world problems.
Yeah, exactly, right? Let's take a look, though, at the full breakdown of this game, just so we can kind of all see exactly what we're talking about in front of our very eyes here, Gordo. And my God, I mean, look at these gold differences.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's a couple of things at play here, right? First of all, a really great executed game plan from Gentle Hearts Gaming. They wanted to funnel everything into an Ori B, and they do it with tremendous success, right? They get all the turret plates in bot lane, they get a bunch of turret plates in top lane, they get a whole bunch of farm all around the map, and even a couple of kills, and that's all good and dandy. But also, at the same time, Saknam is trying to set ahead Holy Kerp and or Valley, looking for plays around the top side of the map to equalize, and all of them go wrong. All of them result in Ariandel, Pakis, and Krakadon getting a massive punishment, and Ariandel comes out the victor with just as much damage as an Ori B at the end of the game, and a ridiculous scoreline to back it up.
Yeah, it really just felt like Gentle Hearts did a beautiful job playing their game and not really worrying at all about what Nuke Hunters wanted to try and get going. They almost recognized the fact that they were going to have all of the onus to really create whatever plays they wanted in that early game. And they could, they could sack, no pun intended, what Sacknom wanted to do across the rift here. He was the only place he really tried to make offensively go for, it felt like was early on going up against this Ornn to get Valet ahead. But that's kind of exactly where you want Ornn to be, just constantly pulling pressure as long as he's not giving up big time kills.
Yeah, which is a little bit curious because Genki the Ornn, like you kind of hinted at here, is really hard Slayer. And you could have also looked bot because that Jinx and Rakan were just constantly pushed up, constantly going aggressive the entire time. And that definitely could have been a pretty nice angle for a Jarvan gank. There was one time we saw Sack go down there, and then they hop over the wall and immediately get paranoid. So damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess.
And Gordo, an unfortunate reappearance for this Senna Tom Kench. To be fair, just never really got to see exactly why you would draft. You got to see exactly the reason you draft this composition in the bottom lane play out.
Yeah, I also think they had a tougher time in the 2 versus 2 than you have to, right? I think, it's a losing bot lane duo early on in a lot of cases, but also there was some great capitalization there from an Oribe and Pockets outclassing in the 2-on-2. It felt like lots of knockups that didn't necessarily have to land coming on through to get really good trades, catch outs and rotations, things like that just resulted in them winning the bot lane super hard and enabling that kind of transition play style around the top lane to funnel more and more into the Jinx.
Well, it's funneled into a Gentle Hearts Gaming Game 1 win here in flying colors. So we're going to go to a break. After, on the other side of this, folks, cash in your Travi Bucks while we're gone, whatever, if you bet correctly. If you didn't, you'll have a chance to get some of them back as we are going as many games as we can possibly go. Gentle Hearts certainly want to make sure it's only 3, but we've got Game 2 draft on the other side of this intermission. Stick right with us. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Quick intermission here, and hopefully, Nuke Hunters have done some game planning for the second game after losing what might likely is the quickest loss in Risen Champs season this year, especially on stream at least, Gordo. But interestingly enough, they're going to stick on that red side. They still value that counter pick, but they're going to make sure Nori B is not playing Jinx this time around.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty crucial. They're going to try to change some stuff around, and it's going to start with that Jinx adjustment. Let's see what they're going to be able to make happen there. I do think, the thing about losing a game that quickly is that it's probably not 100% indicative of how the entire match is going to go. It's usually means a lot of things went wrong, and I think that's definitely the case for this game number one.
Or one thing went terribly wrong.
Yeah, I mean, very fair assessment, right? The metaphor you go back to by this point is like goldfish memory. If you are Nuke Hunters, is you just got to completely forget the game won't even happen, and you accept that you're now playing from behind in the series. Mental Hearts, though, they are forced now to play a different B1 with an Ori B drawing that Jinx ban and go Freno. They're gonna go right on top of that. Lilia has some flex potential, but likely slotting into the jungle.
Hmm. Interesting prio here. I haven't seen too much Lily on this patch. Granted, I haven't seen too much of this patch in general, but definitely a little out of left field for me. That is going to be a jungler that can just mow through the camps and has a lot of just pressure because you just throw that seed down in lanes and that he rolls down the entire lane and maybe you just get a free sleep that way. We'll see what they can do to establish control as this because it looks like it's going to be matching up against that Gragas here in the jungle.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the Gragas
Gragas.
for Saknam has been a big pick this year for the Nuke Hunters. They've gotten it banned against them a whole bunch. They haven't even gotten to play it that much because of how often it gets banned. So paired up with Holy Carp's favorite in the Azir, I'm feeling pretty good about that setup for Nuke Hunters.
Yeah, Holy Carp was making highlight after highlight in their 2-0 win over Pick Me Gallo to get here. He had a ton of a really good Emperor's Divides win in sticky situations. Obviously, Ariendel made sure that wasn't even a possibility last game. They really did a good job of just locking Holy Carp down CC-wise and not letting him play too much. Gentle Hearts are really going into their bag of tricks here. They're going to bring back that Tryndamere, who has not, I believe, on this patch gotten a buff, but has recently steadily been getting buffed up to allow for a return to some level of competitive play.
It was a buff a few patches ago to the range, and then they had a nerf of a bunch because skilled champion. I have many things to say about this champ, but locking it in this early is
Wow.
really odd because it screams that you are just going to go for a hard split push angle here, and it does kind of reveal your cards just a little bit early on. And I don't think Trinimir's power in competitive isn't enough to warrant showing that early on. However, though, Draven, it looks like Gentle Hearts Gaming is just kind of going for out of left field picks here. Maybe they're having a little bit of fun. Maybe they're just going for the secret sauce here. Who knows? It's going to be the Camille to answer the Trinimir, though.
That's
Yeah, but
assuming that the Trinimir's top lane. We've seen a
mhm.
lot of Trinimirs get flexed to mid in comp, at least in recent times. I am curious to see what they end up going for here. It definitely feels like less of an Ariandel pick. Ariandel feels like they're more accustomed to the kind of mages of the world and are generally going to prioritize those. But that doesn't necessarily mean the Tryndamere won't be finding its way over there, as could be one of those kind of sustainy focused Tryndamere builds that have been the more recent occurrences of the champion.
And guys, it's definitely newcomers that think that this Tryndamere is actually the answer to the Azir, because the first two bans that come out from newcomers in the second phase are Renekton and Jax. So they are expecting this Tryndamere to likely go towards mid lane. I understand it, right? I mean, the entire idea, and if you've done any homework on Nuke Hunters, is Holy Carp is just really untouchable later in the game with most of his champions, especially his Azir, like we highlighted. So you got to make him uncomfortable earlier on. And Tryndamere is far and away one of the best options, I think, at making a squishy, not too CC oriented champion like Azir early very, very scared to even walk up at any points in the lane.
The big thing is though that like Azir does have the shuffle to get on out, which is really huge. Because usually in a lot of these like matchups, it's like Tryndamere just spins onto the enemy control mage, and it's like, what are you gonna do? You cannot outrun me. Azir, you can kind of just dash out of it, and you do have strong harass early on. So It's going to be a little bit dicey early on. If it is that sustain heavy build, though, you will just be able to face tank it and just heal it back on up. That is assuming it is Tryndamere mid lane. It's going to be confirmed here with this last pick, unless it's a super flex. All right,
Ooh.
it's going to be the Tryndamere mid. It's a very low range snowball heavy composition from Gentle Hearts Gaming. Yeah,
And
Looks
now
like
it,
I gotta
it
say,
be,
I can't believe the Ezreal got it through these bans, by the way. If Gentle Hearts is going to dedicate 2 bans to bot lane, I can't believe they leave up the Ezreal when they're already locked in with Draven here. So he ends up getting to select the Ezreal. So they're going to try to play this bot lane a whole lot safer. That game plan didn't work out great in game number 1, but if Nuke Hunters can like get out of this lane, not getting put so far behind like they did in game number 1, I think it's a great adaptation for them. So I think this Ezreal Braum duo is one of the safest ones that money can buy. It's going to be great for them to be able to try to change up their fate compared to what we saw in the first game.
yeah,
Mhm.
especially as that answer to Draven, right? Because Draven's entire MO is the fact that while he can do a ton of damage later in the game, it relies on the fact that he has come out of lane, cashing in on those stacks of adoration that he's been farming up so well on. So you're just trying to not give any kills over. There's two sides of that coin with Draven. It's either, all right, we're going to try and perma kill him so he never has a bunch of stacks of adoration to cash in, or you play the safer game like you're likely to see it from Nuke Hunters, where you're just sitting back and saying, we're not going to really give him a kill to cash him in yet, and we'll maybe try and kill him off with some jungle pressure later on in the game, or once those fights really start to kick off. But I definitely do agree that letting Ezreal through is intriguing for Gentle Hearts. I like the Caitlyn ban because the stupid one-shot Caitlyn lethality build is still out there. A lot of people have been using. She has been buffed up pretty well. But what I find interesting, Go Frio, that we'll get a lot more clarity on in actual client-side champ select is there's still a lot of flexibility between the top half of the map. You could realistically argue that each one of Poppy, Tryndamere, and Lilia have two different slots they could get put into with this Gentle Heart squad.
Mhm. I think we're kind of 99% sure though here because it would be a little bit wonky. I feel, especially having like Lilia solo lane into a Camille or a Zir. Um, so I think we're pretty sure where things are going. Can't be exactly sure though, like you did hint at. Yeah, it's an odd one.
I actually can confirm now, looking at the client side draft, it is Diesel on Poppy, Krakenon's on Lilia, and it will be Ariendel breaking out that Tryndamere. And Gordo, I'm curious, you win a game so heavily. Do you think that Gentle Hearts at some point, at some level in this draft, are starting to like min-max test with this composition they've put together?
Yeah, I think a little bit, and it's definitely a different look from the game number 1 draft, right? But I think it does keep to what they've focused on as a team traditionally, though, is just lane dominant bot lanes for Inoribi and Pakis. And they turned a duo that wasn't super lane dominant in game number 1 into a dominant one in game number 2. They also found that Ariandel was able to have a really successful game number 1 up against this squad. So they're going to put a little bit more power in his hands as well in the form of this Tryndamere. That's a player I'm really excited to see, expand his horizons, maybe take a kind of style that we don't really associate with him and show out with it here in Risen Champions League.
And you certainly want to show out now out the gate if you are Gentle Hearts, because like we talked about, this is a best of 5, and it is the first stage of the playoffs, but this is an elimination game for both of these squads, including Gentle Hearts, who, had a pretty dominant season. Totally, except for one kind of slip up against that CCG Futures roster. And now they kind of have to show that they can go toe to toe with Nuke Hunters, not only to get this win go for Reno, but kind of separate themselves from the pack of these 4 teams that are in this play-in tournament. Because right after the game, you're going to have to go against one of those CCG rosters that has been, one of them has been unbeatable. The other one has looked nigh unbeatable outside of 1 week.
Yeah, so if you're able to set down a very solid foot in this series like we saw in game number 1, that's definitely going to bode well for going into playoffs here. But you do have to finish out the series here, and we were kind of hinting at it that this kind of feels like a bit of a limit testing composition from Gentle Hearts Gaming. So there are some concerns in the air. If you're able to keep up like they did last game, though, they should be all hunky dory.
Certainly should. It's interesting to think about this composition, though, Gordo, as we got some time with the spectator lay coming through. Feels like both of these squads have actually kind of opted for some split push power. We talked about the fact that Ariendel is on the Tryndamere mid, but you still have a Tryndamere and a Camille going against each other that are going to just continuously be a factor in whatever side lane they choose.
Absolutely, and that's definitely going to be a kind of interesting dynamic here. So, assuming that they're both going to be facing off in side lanes in a lot of these cases, I mean, it's going to either come down to them being able to come in and flank each other. It's going to come down to them being able to win out in the one-on-one because of some kind of advantage that's been built up. I think that's going to favor the Tryndamere as the game starts to go later, right? You're just not going to be tanky enough on the Camille to be able to win out on that 1v1 when he just gets to bash at you for the entire duration of Undying Rage. And then if we look over at the 4-on-4, right, that's where things start to get a little bit spicier, right? You could force fights with the Azir, but you could also play like really safe disengagey style with your Gragas, with your Azir, with your Ezreal, with your Braum. So if you can't start fights there, but you feel like you're getting your 4-man squad over to the objectives first, that can really start to favor a team like Nuke Hunters.
Especially with the fact that you have Diesels on this Poppy if you're Gentle Hearts Gaming, where Keeper's Verdict is going to become just massive for setting up for, at the basis, setting up for neutral objectives, GoFrino, but also if a 4v4 team fight breaks out, Diesel can really level the numbers for Gentle Hearts in those climactic fights.
Yeah, just pop out 1 or 2 members there, and you should be able to win a 4v2. That's for damn sure. Not always the most guaranteed, though, especially against slippery champions like the Ezreal, like the Azir. How even the Gragas can get out of that, with a bit of reaction time there. So, might not be the most guaranteed, but when you do land it, yeah, like you mentioned here, Slayer, it is going to really level the playing field in your area, or in your field, I should say, and just give you such a bloody advantage over whatever objective or thing you're fighting over.
A lot of moving pieces coming across for this game number 2. A big game to just find if you are Nuke Hunters. It feels like whenever you go down, I mean, there's the old adage with sports, it's like only, what is it, like in the NBA, no team has ever come back from 3-0 down in a series, or multiple teams, the statistics behind going down 2-0. Like, even in sports, esports as well, you just don't usually see coming back from 2-0s unless apparently you're Adam and Team BDS on the world stage in a best of 5, but we don't have that going for us. I am curious though, you guys, we got a bit of time here. Do you guys expect to see with the spooky season any of these Halloween skins coming out? Do you have a favorite Halloween skin, Gordo? I know you've been celebrating a bit early over with the Trick or Treat Invitational. What are your thoughts on that?
To explain this to multiple people multiple times now. Definitely not Blitzcrank as a Halloween skin, guys. It was released as a Halloween skin.
Yeah, it
The
was.
subsequent definitely not skins might have been April Fool's skins, but I'm here to represent for definitely not Blitzcrank.
Yeah, it's kind
Well,
of weird. Like early Halloween skins were just kind of like, what if we dress the champion up kind of goofy, or like it's kind of
Which
spooky.
is like 90% of skins anyway, right? So
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun.
but like new ones are just bewitching. It's like, oh, okay, they're just in a witch's outfit. Sure, I haven't seen that a million times before, but I think we're about ready here.
yeah, I mean, some of those skins certainly work really well, and what works even better is Gordo and GoFrino covering these games. Pleasure to listen to you guys, and hey, you guys are gonna get right on to Summer's Rift here. Game number 2 is live, so take it away.
Thank you very much, Slayer. As we are on to the Rift for game number 2. Sides have not changed. Gentle Hearts Gaming up 1-0, still hanging out on the blue side here, and a 5-man squad lurking in the bottom lane for the Nuke Hunters, looking to catch themselves a victim. And REB going for a bit of aggressive vision. He's going to walk right into all 5.
No. Wait, no.
Oh, they see
We're
him.
so Barack. We are so Barack.
All right, and
yeah,
REB going to have to flash over the wall, gets back into the pit, and he can actually escape there. Nobody's going to blow a summoner to chase him. I think that's actually wise. This is going to give summoner advantage over to Nuke Hunters in the bottom lane. That's a victory in and of itself.
Yeah, like you could have committed like 3 to 5 flashes there and guarantee. Oh no. No, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him.
Is coming through. Does Jash into the wall there from Diesel. Beautifully played. Gets him right on that little smidge of a wall right next to the bird camp. And that's going to chunk Saknam out right as he's trying to start his clear. But good guy, poor reasoning. He's going to tank up the blue buff and try to make sure that Saknam can get started the way he wants.
Starting body slam down Gragas definitely going to slow down the clear here. Thankfully, you are Gragas League of Legends. You are able to sustain pretty well with that happy hour passive, and You are now level 2 after that buff, so you're able to get the Drunken Rage here. But you are losing your entire topside jungle right now. We might see the vertical jungling come out. We might see Karakadon just go for the flex on them play and just immediately run to their red side jungle here. That would put Sakanom like 6 feet under in terms of tempo and levels in this early game if you do pull that off. Looks like, though, it's just going to be farming up on this top side. Maybe look for an early gank here onto Valley.
That might be the goal here. Krakadon pathing on up. Valley at risk of CC if they put themselves out of position and get dashed into the wall, but doesn't look like the opportunity presents itself, and instead, Krakadon is going to return to their side of the map and look to keep their clear going. Nice trade coming out now here. Poor reasoning, using that
able to get
to block the spinning axes and get a huge trade on the pockets.
Could see a gank here coming out. There's no ward in that river. There is no flash on Saknom, so you can't go for the flash body slam, but look how far forward you are. There's no flash on this Draven. Concussive blow stacking on up.
The damage coming on across. The first blood was picked up for Arch. And Inori B gonna try to escape as well.
No.
Arch going way too deep there and ends up dropping. Pockets ends up getting the kill credit.
Okay. I saw the dog in Arch's eyes there, but yeah. Like, they go in, they miss the W there and the Q. And thank God you died to the turret there, not Draven, because if you die to the Draven here and Inori gets a early cash-in, that is going to be so rough as an Ezreal who has Tear of the Goddess, Dagger, and no pots on your first back.
Indeed. Going to be pretty even all in all now in the top lane, unless Saknom can turn things around. Diesel smells that something's up. Nice interrupt with the steadfast presence. Saknom coming over, doesn't have access to the flash, though, and will be able to escape alive.
Able to get on out of that one. Does cost a summoner, as previously mentioned, so gonna make this Poppy a little more vulnerable. There is the E landing. There is the stun. Easy kill onto Saknom here for Krakadon. That's a bit spooky because Lilia can definitely snowball with a lead here and just becomes such a menace. She becomes near untouchable. You can never catch her. She's just constantly running around at Mach 5 and burning through you with all that percentage HP damage. It is a great time to face. Well, it's a great experience to face a Poppy, or not a Poppy, a Lilia when you're behind. Hold that thought because Krakadon looking for a gank here in the mid lane. Should have a shuffle. Does have flash.
Gonna have to flash on out of there. Takes a fair bit of damage. Saknom looking for the response. And Krakadon and Ariandel both too low to continue. They're gonna back away. Holy Curve had to flash, but he's gonna be able to TP back into the lane just fine.
Gonna be able to TP back here. So, not the worst in the world, but not having flash means you are a lot more vulnerable. You have to be very careful, and Krakadon just called out here by Saknom, who is just tired of this Lilia running around everywhere, getting her way. Granted, though, it's going to be Saknom's 4th camp of the game picked up here, so they are very behind on the farm. You can see 20 CS down, that's 5 camps, that's kind of like a full clear without buffs on the table.
Saknom? He's going for the wild path here to try to escape, but he's going to walk into Diesel sooner rather than later.
Let's execute at this point, though.
Yeah,
unless Ariandel has the
He's slowing down Ariandel. Ariandel gets the spinning slash back. Doesn't want to flash, but will he have to get the slow mocking shout, chicken scream, first kill to Ariandel.
Truly, the pinnacle of Tryndamere mechanics there. The flash, chicken shout, just to guarantee you got a kill there. And I mean, Tryndamere getting a kill, that is pretty huge. That's definitely worth here. Now you have the Tiamat, you're going to be able to just turbo shove in this lane and really put on the hurting. Of course, with all that time spent, it does mean that Holy Carp able to get themselves a bit of a CS lead here. We'll see how things balance out.
Love that counts for an assist there. Great heads-up play by Ariandel to know, hey, you know, I can get kill credit here. I can get 300 gold in my pocket by flashing and pressing W here. Poultry shout. Given over the 300 gold. Yeah, Diesel, a little bit of a trade up against Valley. Doesn't know that Saknom is lurking around, and Saknom, He needs to get involved in this game. He's getting out-farmed to hell. He wants to get some kill credit to try to equalize the odds a little bit. But every time he visits top lane, Diesel just absorbing his pressure like a sponge.
Yeah. And now you're level 4 here. You're just so far behind as this Gragas. It really started off at level 1. That ward gonna spot you. And yeah, you can see right now, just losing their entire top side here. 4 members of the blue side towards top. This red being taken. We have poor reasoning on the side though, looking to pincer on off. They know something's up here, but Ariandel already here from the mid lane. And Sakdom now down 31 CS.
This is a miserable Gragas experience here. He gets poultry shouted. He's going to have to back on out underneath that turret. They're calling over the reinforcements. This is a 4-on-4 on the top side of the map, and the opportunities just are not presenting themselves. Really tight play here from Gentle Hearts Gaming. They call up the members they need to call out. They path in logical patterns. They come up for the backup where it's needed. They don't take any unnecessary risks or fights, and they get their objective. They back on away.
And Saknom just needs to just start farming here a little bit, get some XP under your belt, get some stacks to finish up this jungle item with. Because yeah, we've kind of hammered home. This Gragas is behind and has not had too much come out in their favor. Rift Herald looks like it's being started up in the top side here. Nothing much you can really do as Nuke Hunters. You're all on the bot side here. And yeah.
Yep. On the very least, Gentle Hearts have not been able to develop a massive lead in this bottom lane. There's been no cash outs for the Draven yet, although that might change here pretty soon. They're calling on over Saknom, cleanse away from the exhaust, and Ori B now with just free reign to hit Saknom.
Body slam.
Is on foot away from the body slam, and I've jinxed it to hell, Goferino. And Ori B with multiple cash outs in the bottom lane is now rolling in gold on the Draven.
Oh no. Yeah, now they're up 900 in this lane, bro. Just some small, tiny errors there. Saknom misses the body slam there. Eats so much damage in return, and then finally dies. Poor reasoning, not able to get there in time. This could just be a solo kill on the top side. Yep.
All right, and just like that, everything has gone wrong for the Nuke Hunters. They were losing the jungle matchup, but had managed to keep the rest of the lane stable. That is no longer the case. The rest of the lanes are blown wide open with a couple of miscalculations coming in on the bot and top sides.
Yeah, top is at least not turbo lost at this point. You're just on the back foot, and it's going to definitely suck here. You're going to get out-traded, but you're still Camille. You have the scaling under your belt. Bot lane, though. Yeah, that's a real done doozy. You can see the Sheen, the Caulfields, that Dark as well. The only reason this Draven for Anori doesn't have a completed item is because they went for a bit of the detour here with the Cole and the Sheen. And it's still gonna hurt like hell.
Absolutely, Aaron. Just wait until those items start getting completed. Then it's going to be a real issue as Anori B getting engaged on, but a nice bail out off that dark passage. Now with free reign to hit and poor reasoning, kiting it back away once again. Saknom does have access to that explosive cast, but doesn't find it on any critical targets. Whirling Death nearly taking down poor reasoning, and the return True Shot Barrage knocks these targets low. Arch wants to try to clean up here, needs to be the carry for this Nuke Hunter squad. Fires one more shot, taking an Ori B incredibly low, and now it's a cleanup opportunity for Arch, but he's got to keep himself safe. He's managed to drop Pockets, but is put to sleep by Krakedon, as Krakedon takes down Saknom and flashes out for safety, and Ori B is still lurking in the alcove, but gets taken down by another Mystic shot. But Ariandel flashing in, looking to clean up this fight and make sure that there is no escape route for the Nuke Hunters, but Holy Kerp matches with a TP and takes down Ariandel. He doesn't pop the Undying Rage, he dies with ultimate available.
Yeah, you had Undying Rage. Oh, okay, the pause. Was there maybe a little bit of lag for Ariandel?
Well,
Who
we're
knows?
unpaused already.
Oh, never mind. Alrighty. Bit of a spectator buffer moment, thankfully. Because you can buffer out pauses in spectator if you pause long enough at the start of the game.
Yep. We're in it.
Definitely does depend.
We're
back in it, though.
So, a little bit of a whoopsie from Ariandel there, not doing the thing that his champion does.
Ooh,
Arch
bit of a
has to be
tick
careful
maybe?
here. This might not be done. That's a very fast deer. Krakenon chasing him down, and Krakenon takes down Arch. Is now Diesel getting met in the top lane by 3 members, has already used the steadfast presence. Here comes Valley, and they're going to donate that kill to Camille to make sure that Valley can compete in this top lane one-on-one.
Able to get back even in this lane here. Of course, it just cost on that bot side, though. Arch needed to arcane shift out of that initial seed there. The rolling bowling ball from Krakedon. Because that slow just roots you in place for so long, bro. And it's impossible to escape. One for one. First dragon of the game here. Being picked up after 12 minutes. Even though it's been a very hectic game. You know, 9 to 7 in kills, 16 kills in 12 minutes. That's definitely a high bar.
Yeah, and despite the tremendous lead, it's interesting that Krakedon is kind of, just paying a little bit of heed here towards the scaling. Goes for the Rod of Ages build. So going to be getting that level advantage soon enough, although Nori B getting engaged on once again. This time no Thresh to save him quite yet, but does manage to sustain through the initial burst of damage and just stands there. He's got the deer alongside him, and that's all that he needs to feel plenty safe.
I've actually been seeing more and more Roa on Lilia. I guess the Lilia player is just really valuing that extra health there and the sustain it gives. Yeah. New tech coming on out here. Got a little bit of calm on the Rift, just some aggressive trading in the mid lane. Maybe an all-in on the top side here if the top laners are really feeling it. They're looking for something.
They'll take what they can get, for sure. Hunting around in the top lane seems to have been the game plan for Saknam most of the game long. They really want to funnel more money into this Camille, into Valley, have Valley be that source that they need. They can burst out this Draven, maybe some flanking team fights. That could be a great recipe for success for this kind of composition, given the state that they find themselves in. The Diesel, though, just been keeping the push in the top lane the whole way through. He's got himself 3 turret plates, and not going to be able to make it a 4th here as Valley shows up to defend.
Looking on the bot side here, Arch. Ooh, reveals their hand just a little too early here. Play, look for the hook. There's a big whirling death.
Going down with the box, goes in for the death sentence, dodged away by Saknam's flash, as they're going to have to try to defend their turret here. They don't want to give up first turret gold, but you got to pay some respect over to Inori B's damage. Coming on in now, Poor Reasoning has arrived. The play is going to tank up that death. They're going to look to focus him down with the Ezreal damage. True Shot Barrage comes through, just barely misses Pockets. It's now Inori B standing and fighting, flashing in, looking to take on all comers. Finishes off Poor Reasoning. Saknam's going to be the next target, waiting for the spinning axe to come back up, but he's just going to use the regular old auto attacks to pick up a double. Advancing forward, Arch trades back. Arch is going to go down to Pockets, though, and it's a 3 for 2 when all is said and done.
Oh, that looks so good for Nuke Hunters there, but a great flash from Inori B to get out of one ability keeps them alive long enough to get the first cash out here. And now it's a 4-2 Draven here, looking to really crack open this bot lane.
Brilliant. Love the aggression there out of Inori B. That is why Gentle Hearts puts so much priority on this young marksman player. They are willing to give everything over to him, game in and game out, giving him draft resources, giving him in-game resources, and it's because he has the killer instinct to be able to flash in and make those outplays in unfavored situations like that.
First turret actually going to drop in topside of all places. Flash Hextech Ultimatum here. No mana left, but just enough for that Keeper's Verdict. Going to buy enough space here, and Valley just down a flash and ultimate for their troubles after losing their turret.
For sure. Pakis finds Poor Reasoning in the river. He's got an Nori B coming in here pretty soon. Takes the Dark Passage, and Poor Reasoning's got to flash away. A nice pick made by Pakis. And he's not done. He's going to find him in the follow-up. Poor Reasoning thinks better of his path over towards the mid lane out turret and ends up getting himself into more trouble. Gets to jump out to Arch to safety, but he's going to have to take a recall.
Man, that sucks. Like, you can't even walk into your jungle at this point. You lose another turret on the bot side. This Herald pops in the mid lane. Looks like it's just going to be a clean 3-0 sweep in terms of outer turrets. picked up here by Gentle Hearts Gaming, and that's going to help the gold lead now pop up to about 6k gold differential. Solo kill coming through on the top side in just a bit here for one of these laners.
Yeah, and Valley wants to make sure it's them. They're doing a good job of playing at a safe range. So Diesel going to be able to pick up the buckler for a fat shield. There's going to be that precision protocol to get one back for Valley. Dodging out on the hammer shot. Here comes Whirling Death to turn it around, but Valley with the follow-up precision protocol takes down Diesel in the one-on-one.
Really close for comfort there, but this Camille for Valley able to bring it on home here. Definitely getting hard to kill this. Poppy already has the Iceborne finished, has the Bombies, has the Bramble in tow as well. But now that you're 2-1 as this Camille, that should get you some extra leverage, some extra sustain, or just resist to weather out this lane here and become the split pushing menace that you are. Really close though. We almost saw the Draven cash out there for Inori be missing by just a hair.
Just a hair. And unable to complete a follow-up win up on that top side of the map. That is going to be a point of power to play through for the Nuke Hunters. They are, once again, struggling to retain control over the game, at the very least being able to win out in that one-on-one matchup. As more and more items come over towards this Camille, she's going to be more and more adept at being able to brawl up with tanky members like Poppy, thanks to all that true damage on the precision protocol.
This reminds me a little bit of early game here. Saknam just sitting up in top side here. This Graga is still worse for wear. Only 67 CS to their name here. Still haven't finished jungle items, so you're really going to want to be able to get something out of this gank here.
They're sending 4 members
so
here
much
to try to
time.
gank Diesel. It had better work out, as they're going to commit everything here. A little bit of an interrupt, but not nearly enough. They donate the kill to Arch, and that's going to be a kill for the side of the Nuke Hunters.
Flash. They're just looking to stall.
I mean, Pacus is so far away. They're going to buy time for Ariandel to hammer away at this turret, and that's not nothing. But you want to be careful to not give off another kill here. Saknam chasing on through, the hook lands, body slam. Krakadan now going to try to kite this out. This could be a sleep on the 3 members, and it will end up as that. Here comes Ariandel on the backside, takes a couple of autos, but spins out to safety. He's going to have to pop the ultimate here to stay alive, and is going to be able to do so. A hook threads the needle and captures Holy Kerp for the side of Inori B, and that's a crucial carry down now for the Nuke Hunters as the follow-up fight.
Ooh, the teleport.
Mystic shots are finding their angles onto Inori B, but Diesel has TP'd in for the flank, and he takes down the jungler. Now only 3 members left for the Nuke Hunters as the siege in mid lane never stopped. They're waiting for additional mid lane reinforcements from the minion wave to be able to keep up the push, and the call might just be to back away.
Yeah, definitely back away here. Arch starting to do some damage here. 1.5 items, but great play coming out here from Gentle Hearts Gaming. You have the double pincer flank there. There's the initial pincer coming out from Ariandel after they killed that mid lane inner turret. And then there was another flank from Diesel who just respawned, teleport behind him onto a minion, and just seal the deal in that fight there. 14-10 is the scoreline, but you have to look at the objectives. You have to look at the farm here, because that's where the huge differential is coming out right now, Gordo, and is what is giving us this absolute blowout of the lead.
And a blowout is what it looks like. Another 7k gold lead here pretty early in the game. It's only 20 minutes, and another angle for a potential early closeout here from Gentle Hearts Gaming. If they can find themselves a dominant team fight, they can close out the game straight up. All the damage that they've built on up here for Inori B. 10k gold in the pocket of this Draven thanks to those cash outs. And now stepping forward is the biggest threat on the map. Diesel willing to start a fight for anybody. He'll take any target he can find as long as he's got the Draven behind him.
Yeah. 5, 2, and 3. Quite a bit of cash outs here. 2.5 items. Top lane got a bit of a scuffle shaping up here. Saknam instantly flashing on out. Look for the sleep.
Shadows managed to get the dust onto one, but Pacus is the one taking the most abuse here. Pacus is going to drop to open up the fight, and Ariandel has to spin out to safety. Sleep only lands on a one, and now Krakedon might be here a little bit too far. Caught on up in the Hex Deck Ultimatum, gonna get hit with follow-up CC, gonna have to flash out. Ariandel, though, leads the charge, unstoppable, slows two, double kill for Ariandel, triple kill for Inori B, and the side of Nuke Hunters are wiped off the map. It's an ace for Gentle Hearts Gaming, and they're gonna crack open the base.
That was so close for Nuke Hunters too, but the fact is Ariandel lol has the outplay button there, presses the ultimate undying range. Tryndamere unkillable, you just start healing up half your health bar because you got this Ravenous Hydra. And you're able to just instantly turn that fight. Such a huge Whirling Death coming out from Inori B there. That's gonna secure him, this Baron, that's gonna secure him. What was a 5-for-2 in that fight? And they are looking to push the series to match point.
Absolutely. And looking like they're going to be able to do it. Gentle Hearts looking like a little bit of a misnomer there, as this has been violent, Goferino. This has not been gentle in the slightest. They are blowing the Nuke Hunters out of the water in these first couple of games. Now looking to close out a dominant game number 2 and send these guys back to the drawing board yet again.
Because it was much more even this game, 15 minutes in, it's like a 2.5k goal differential. You were keeping things relatively close, but then it just started falling apart here in the mid game, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint what happened. There's definitely a lot of outplay snowballing in the bot lane. Saknam isn't spotted here, but this is going to be a really rough flank. That turret's already dead. You probably got mere seconds left in this brush too, because surely someone's going to check this, right?
Perhaps, or at the very least, I mean, this is Saknam's last-ditch effort. I don't know if they can win a fight.
They got the flank.
Even off the back of this explosive cast, doesn't find Inori B,
They got
but
Inori.
everything else does. And the shutdown is found for Holy Kerpus. The rest of the team gets booted out of the fight by Diesel.
Here's
Here comes
Ariandel.
Ariandel off the mid lane, spinning into the middle of 4, CC'd up, but undying for now. Has to get out to safety, pop the heal to get out, but there's going to be a successful defense staged by the Nuke Hunters. They get themselves 1 kill, and that's all they need.
Nobody expects the Gragas to flank from that brush there. The brush we don't even really have a name for because almost no one ever talks about it. Sitting there for 1.5 minutes, it felt like, and gonna get the 1-for-1 there, gonna stifle the Baron push for now that huge shutdown picked up. Still though, it is going to be soul point here, and you are still very far down, but baby steps here for Nuke Hunters to at least get their feet back in the game.
That is what they need at the least to try to stage some sort of comeback here. The Stride Breaker Tryndamere. I love the look here from Ariandel. It's given them actually a lot of value in these fights. Nearly getting a big 4-man slow to kind of re-engage, even without Inori B there, but some crucial CC comes through some poor reasoning and manages to save it. As Diesel's going to choose to walk in here in a 1 versus 2 situation, now becoming a 1 versus 3 as Saknam arrives to the play as well, and Saknam picks up the kill, but the hook connects, and Pacus is going to try to trade back, giving the kill over to Inori B. It's a 1-for-1 when all is said and done.
1-for-1, but when you're behind, those 1-for-1s work in your favor. Mid turret, of course, had already dropped from Ariandel's pushing earlier. There's still some Baron buff left. Never mind, it has just expired, and yeah, these turrets not really taken to the beating all that kindly.
Not at all, and going to be now a follow-up fight on the top side of the map. Ariandel chunked a little bit low on HP. They are going to just keep rotating around the map, trying to find places where the armor is weak and get themselves a win here in game number 2. Successfully dragging out for longer are the Nuke Hunters, but their opportunities are dwindling.
Yeah, we're gonna really have to go the distance in this game for Nuke Hunters to come back, because it's not just if you win one big fight here. Like, if you win one big fight decisively, you'll still be down by a noticeable amount. It'll be a much fairer amount, but you're really just gonna have to take a lot of dubs here, and that's such a hard thing to get right now for Nuke Hunters.
Yeah, for sure towers. There's a follow-up engage found by Diesel. Stacknom is pinned into the wall. They do successfully push them away with the explosive cast. They're going to pile Glacial Fissure as well. But that's two big ultimates down for the Nuke Hunters as Krakodon is racing towards them over the wall. Gets the sleep onto 3. Archer's going to successfully cleanse away, being hit by the Death Sentence and play back in with the rest of the team. Here's Ariandel chopping away at everybody. Unkillable inside the base. Cleans up 3 members. And it's a 5-for-0 ace once again found by Gentle Hearts Gaming. They're going to march 5 members strong into the base. They're going to take every structure that they can find. And they are going to move themselves to match point. Go Farino.
Yep, in just a few seconds here, it's a completely radically different team comp coming out.
We do have
All right, a little bit of an execute there, a little bit of an oopsie for the stats there, but the end is all the same here. Gentle Hearts Gaming never really felt like they were out of control out of that game. Yes, it was even for the early portion of it, but in the end, the snowball just starts mounting, and now we are here 2-0. Mamma mia.
My God.
Slayer back on in here. Slayer, welcome back.
Thank you. My God,
What a
guys.
game number 2.
I'm checking out my nifty watch here. I'm pretty sure we allocated a 3-hour window for this playoff bout. So, Gentle Hearts, for the love of God, can we make that window? We're like an hour 30 in, and these have been 2 very, very decisive wins. And Gordo, not to pat our backs again, but it kind of go back to that preseason poll. It kind of feels like Gentle Hearts are that A tier, potentially threatening S tier team, and Nuke Hunters just look outmatched.
It's definitely the case here, Slayer. I checked out. We had 4 teams in S and A tier in our preseason power rankings, and Gentle Hearts was among them, looking more and more likely like those are going to be our top 4 teams for the playoffs double elim bracket, as Gentle Hearts are running away with it up against the Nuke Hunters. Time and time again, it's been dedicating resources and gold over to a Nori B that is paying off in spades.
Yeah, and you thought game 1 strategy from them was aggressive. Let's take a look at the post-game breakdown. You'll see exactly what happens once again when you feed gold into a Nori. Once again, Go Farino just absolutely gapping in that AD department. And for Gentle Hearts Gaming, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, Nuke Hunter's bot lane, to their credit, they kept things close initially. They're able to get that 1-for-1 initially and not give over any gold to an RB. The problem is afterwards, like, they were so close on multiple occasions with those ganks here, but Saknom, as this full AP Gragos, who was kind of behind, just so squishy. If you miss one ability in that trade, then an RB can just shred anyone, whether it's Saknom, whether it's Arch, whether it's poor response, poor reasoning. And that just led to this mega snowball on the bot side.
And it's also the fact that Krakodon, the jungle gap, you can see it in the gold there, it was nearly as big, basically as big, Gordo, as that AD gap when by the time the game was over. And Saknom, I mean, he once again, it felt like he was trying to funnel Valet on this Camille pick, but it once again just really didn't work out. Got to give some credit over to Diesel on the weak side King role.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's been the name of the game for this team their whole way through, and they execute on it once again here. Great to see Krakodon and Ariandel performing on kind of off carries as well. I mean, at Ariandel, we talked about Tryndamere not really his type of champion, doesn't even really need to do much in this game. Kind of just serves as a secondary engage, right? He spins into the middle of members, he slows them all down with the Stride Breaker, and he's done his job. Nori B can take it from there, as well as Krakodon bringing through the magic damage, and works out very nicely for them there as they are able to clean house and take game number 2.
Yeah, when you really start to think about it, this was the definition of a spin to win composition coming across from Gentle Hearts when you got Whirling Death factored in with that spinning Tryndamere, and obviously the Lilia setting up by twirling her little staff to set up a bunch of those sleeps. Big time one in the league, and that last fight flashing in. That's like the Lilia's paradise dream, Go Farino, them all stacking up and being able to get such a big time sleep.
Yeah, we kind of saw that in a lot of fights here, like especially in the last fight, the AoE just added up so quickly. Even though you don't really look at Gentle Hearts game in composition and go like, yeah, they're an AoE wombo combo comp, but when everyone here on New Hunters eats a Whirling Death, eats a Lilting Lullaby from this Lilia, yeah, that's actually a lot of AoE damage, and just kind of killed the Nuke Hunters. Nothing much else to say.
Well, folks, if you were watching PSG Talon versus BDS yesterday and you were thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to get off the stream early because this was a 2-0, surely nothing will happen.
Don't
Well,
spoil it.
it happened over a day ago. I feel like most people have I've already seen it.
It hasn't been
What I'm
20
trying to
minutes.
what I'm trying to say here is you may have been spoiled of a quick run here, but by all accords, we are looking to speed run our first match of the playoffs here. It's now really pressure on the Nuke Hunters if they want to wilt over and die or put up some sort of fight. It's going to have to come down to this next draft. We're going to go to that same old break, and on the other side, see if Nuke Hunters can avoid the big bad broom coming across from Gentle Hearts Gaming. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off the Risen Champs League postseason play, we're looking to find one team to play themselves into top four of our playoffs. And so far, Gentle Hearts Gaming have looked the better team by a mile, and they've decided to, Newcomers, excuse me, have decided to somehow stay on the red side for a second game in a row here, choosing to stay their third game in total. And we're already going live with the draft here, likely locking in both of our mid lane choices, Gordo.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to be taking another unique mid lane matchup into this game at number 3, Ariandel versus uh Newcutter's mid.
Holy carp, holy carp,
Holy
holy
Curb.
carp.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Holy Curb has been doing well for a while in all of these games, right? He's been able to keep even in CS. He's been able to navigate the laning phase. It's not like he's getting blown out of the water, but Ariandel's constantly been able to get out of lane, to have influence in the fights, and Holy Curb just hasn't been able to represent that way. And often because he's been on this Azir waiting to scale and just not getting the chance to do so, right?
The issue, though, that does a line here is that Syndra is kind of the same strategy, especially the new change Syndra. You are really weak early, trying to wait and scale to get your splinter points coming across here. And go for, looks like Gentle Hearts are just kind of going for a similar strategy, picking a lot of champions that once their ults come online become pretty chaotic to contain.
Yeah, it's gonna be chaos here. It's also gonna be a minion counting Palooza. Um,
Yep.
I'm curious if we see any flexing here because Nico support is a thing, and you can put Rumble in the mid lane. Granted, Rumble mid after the changes, especially into Cinder, doesn't sound the hottest, but I wouldn't count it out of Gentle Hearts Gaming's book after what was the crazy comp of last game?
And they're looking to get just as crazy here. I mean, you got Pop Blossom, you've got the Rumble coming all across, all with the lights out. Really could get crazy, but what is kind of intriguing to see is, I will say, Gordo, this is the first draft where we have seen Gentle Hearts hold an Ori B his champion selection until that second phase. You talked about so highly how Gentle Hearts have always played through him to funnel him gold throughout a game.
Yeah, and I mean, Caitlyn's up, Callista's up. There's stuff that an REB likes to play that's still available on here. So I would not be surprised if B4, B5 is one of those super aggressive duos. See what the Nuke Hunters take here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take jungle right now. They know they're up against Nocturne, so at the very least, they can save their AD pick for last. But there's a whole lot of powerful options here that are right up Gentle Hearts
Mm.
Gaming alley. The ban of the Thresh and the Draven, while that was super valuable for them last game, it's not going to solve all your problems here.
Oh,
Like
certainly won't.
Kaisa, especially after the nerfs, definitely going to be pretty vulnerable here in this early game.
There's
The
Callisto.
biggest reprieve you have is the fact that Nocturne really wants to wait until 6 to gank. And yeah, Callista Alistar is going to be a bit of a nightmare here with just how potent they are early on.
Yeah, it really feels like Gentle Hearts, once they all get ultimates available, are just going to be looking to constant fight. I mean, Alistair is certainly known for his peel ability. He's obviously a great answer to Rel, but when you pair him with Callista, I mean, you can just throw
Oh,
down some seriously crazy CC combinations. And Newcomers, they leave that R5 for last. They're going to go with the Rammus, likely just a pick to neutralize an Ori B as much as possible.
that's one way to do it. I mean, have fun playing Callista against Ramos. That's what we call getting outplayed. The Rammus also does decent into the Nocturne because Nocturne very auto attack focused, and Rammus likes it when you auto attack him. Yeah,
Absolutely.
a little out of left field though, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a surprise, to be certain. Tank junglers in general are a little bit better on the patch. Right, they changed up how the paths scale up with some of those tank stats. So not surprised to see some of these champions start to work their way back into the meta. Sejuani the Jarvan banned away. Classics like the Maokai were available as well. But I do like the Rammus, particularly into the Callista. I think that's really what the focus is going to be. They want to try to neutralize Nori B. But, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think the change for the jungle, it's not necessarily in the pick. I think it's just you need to stop camping top lane all game. And the lock-in of the Scion seems to indicate that they're going in that direction.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting sort of dynamic, right? Because you talked about the last two games when it came to Diesel, he was on Ornn and Poppy duty in lanes where he was just expected to, all right, if you're Diesel, just don't int, right? Don't give over a crazy lead to either one of those carries like we talked about coming across from that Nuke Hunter side. So now he's got a little bit more aggressiveness to play with, and I'm curious to see how Gentle Hearts will play, because you talk about the fact that, yeah, Gordo, sure, they play really well when they try to feed an Ori B in games, but if we're being honest, we're looking ahead maybe a little bit too early with this series given, but you're playing CCG Esports as main roster. You're not going to be able to get away beating them in a big time series just playing through bot side.
Very likely. But there's still they got some other game plans in their tank here. I like Nocturne Nico Rumble as like a top side. I do like the focus on being able to kind of play around the vision advantage that you're granted thanks to that paranoia, and it really lets you get some really great pop blossom angles. So I think they are kind of showing a little bit of, it's still an aggressive win through bot lane composition, which is their bread and butter, but they have some angles to play through for the rest of the team. And even if Inori gets hosed by this Rammus, I think they still have a team fight strategy that they can execute on.
Certainly is a comp though, Go Farino, if you are Gentle Hearts, that really when it comes to mid game, centering around these neutral objectives, you pick this comp, you really have to be the first ones to set up for a potential Drake, Rift Herald, Baron take.
Yeah. I mean, at least even if you're late here, like you have the equalizer, which is super long range, you have the paranoia, which is super long range. So even if one member is away, there's a pretty decent chance that they're still able to contribute into the fight here. But also, I mean, looking at the Gentle Hearts given composition, like their objective control is really suffocating. Like you do not want to walk into this team to contest an objective because you're just going to have to go through so much fire and flames here that you're probably not coming out on the other end.
It's interesting, right? Because Nuke Hunters, it feels like their composition has been sort of put together to survive and come out on that other end. It's almost if you can absorb an initial brunt from Ariendel, maybe getting a pop blossom, that equalizer, all those ultimates dropping down with the lights out. If you could come out of that with still some semblance of a front line, maybe those carries are still up, Gordo, the fight can really turn in Nuke Hunter's favor with that team fighting prowess of a Syndra, of a Kaisa, and more.
Agree. Yeah, I think Heist is still broken. I mean, they've drifted
Yeah.
away a little bit. It's not the AP build. It's that new lethality build, though. And that's kind of the
That
nature of the
happens so
champion, right?
lately.
Is that when you nerf down one build, another build can rise up and take its place. And I think, that build that kind of could even take a page from the Gentle Hearts gaming book, right? If you get a kind of advantage on this Callista Alistair lane early on, if Rammus makes a visit down there and Kaisa can get strong and get onto that early serrated Dirk, go in for that early the Umbral Glaive that she builds
Mhm.
nowadays. You'd access that super early. You could really start to get a snowball going that way. Start to enable your mid lane, start to win stuff through bots, stack up dragons. You can like play the game the way that many folks want to on the current patch, the way that Nuke Hunters just hasn't gotten to in their first two games.
Yeah, it's all about for Nuke Hunters. The way they've played all season long is putting guys like Holy Carp in a position later in the game to just take over. And all credit to Gentle Hearts Gaming, Go Farino, because this entire series, Holy Carp has been the opposite of comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really solid just season for Holy Carp, but this series, like you mentioned, it hasn't been the worst of mid lane, but Ariandel just able to continuously getting the leads in and out of lane, and then post lane phase, then it's usually a little bit of a Dunzo angle.
Yeah, and you need to get to a point where it's not too over for Holy Carp to come online, this Kaista to come on the line. And it is, you're up against your back gets up against the wall by this point, right, Gordo? And I know where we didn't have a champs last season. We were all down there covering Divine, but if there's any indication for what we learned from Divine, these we've seen reverse sweeps come across before. It's just so integral for obvious reasons you don't get eliminated, but you win a game 3 somewhat handily to get that momentum somewhat going in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There can be big momentum swings if you start to lose games out here. I do think that, this is almost like a more serious composition than what we saw game number 2 from Gentle Hearts Gaming. I think they're committed to the trio sweep right now. think they've gone back to a lot of picks that have been very successful for them all season long. That Kalista in the bottom lane has been one that they've gone for multiple times now for Inori B. I think the Nico, while it hasn't been a pick that we've seen from Ari and Dell yet, it's very much in the wheelhouse, and I think this is a composition that makes a lot of sense for the GHG roster. I think they're looking to close this one out very cleanly.
And one way you have to get back into this if you are Nuke Hunters go for it feels like just needs to be Saknam being able to answer whatever Krakodon kind of throws their way. It feels like he's kind of been on the back foot this whole series.
Yeah, like especially last game, that was an oof and a half there. This game around should be a little bit more bearable considering you're Rammus against an auto attack focused champion. So it's not like the Gragas where he fell behind, wasted a bunch of time, and then just had a Lilia who is up 30 CS on you. But it remains to be seen here because Rammus not exactly as potent at ganking as the Gragas, at least pre-6, because you do have to at least roll up to people, and that does give him, much more time to flash away than if it's just a body slam coming out.
Well, Gofrino, let's proverbially roll in now to game number 3. Could be our final game as Gentle Hearts Gaming are looking to speed run a Risen Esports best of 5. Time to figure that all out, though. Gordo, Gofrino, I'll see you on the other side to see if we're wrapping things up or not.
Thank you very much, Slayer, as we are on to the Rift for game number 3. Remaining on the same sides the whole way throughout, and Poor Reasoning going for a little bit of a clever path here, assuming that he doesn't get spotted, but Diesel is safe enough. We'll be able to get out to safety, and the level 1 play gonna fizzle a little bit. Noribi, maybe just a little bit jostled from how game number 1 went, does not appear to be going in for that early ward.
Yep. Have nothing coming of that invade as mentioned, but no counter vision coming out here from the side of Gentle Hearts Gaming. They only saw that rel come over the wall. I mean, they probably had a little bit of a hunch there's someone else with that rel. I don't think Poor Reasoning just goes in 1v5 to invade, but wasn't sure where everybody else was. So didn't want to risk it for the biscuit, and everyone's just going to be starting on up here. Yeah, just a general calm start.
General calm start. Thing that both teams will take. It's going to be beginning our laning phase here. Some wards exchanged on either side. Defensively here for Nuke Hunters, offensively for the Gentle Hearts, and early aggression from Diesel here is he's just gonna keep
grasp.
Popping these early abilities. Yeah, I mean, Valley gets the grasp proc off, and I don't know. I think Diesel wishes he hadn't gone for that.
Yeah, because usually as Rumble, like, you win a lot of level 1 trades just due to the fact that Flame Splitter is such an effective tool. In these level 1 fights, it just goes on for so long and it's continuously damaging. While you're doing that, you can also auto attack. But it's Scion League of Legends, who's just so naturally tanky. More than happy to charge up the Decimating Smash. Knock you on up with that. Lots of base damage on that ability. Gets the fadeaway grass proc as well for a little bit of health back. Cheeky stealing some small chickens here. Oh, okay. Saknam at least gets the big chicken there. That would have been a very, very sad.
Very sad indeed. Shots exchanged back and forth here. Nori B advancing forward on the Kalista and going to just look to build up an early CS lead the way that Kalista lane is ought to. They're going to go for an early invade here too. Krakodon going to find the Wolves, snag them away. Saknam now getting feared away. He's going to throw up the defense, but he's already lost out on a camp, and now here comes the bot lanes from both sides, engaging onto a Nori B, but Krakodon is higher HP. He's going to be here first, and Arch is going to be forced to flash away. Over the wall, though, Scatter the Weak, that's first blood to Poor Reasoning. And will they be able to hunt him down in time? One more slash from the Nocturne will do it, and Krakodon picks up the kill as we're continuing into the river. Saknam taking damage from over the wall. Arch looking for an angle to rejoin as he tries to block Plasma on towards towards Krakedon. Scatter the Weak finds its mark, and Holy Kerp cleans up a second kill as Ariandel does the same. They're focusing everything in onto Arch as Ariandel is looking to
One
clean
more
him
ability.
up. One more auto from the Shape Splitter will take him down. Holy Kerp, the next target on up. But Poor Reasoning has respawned and is ready to re-engage on the fight. Scatter the Weak lands on a 2. The stun from Poor Reasoning going to keep them locked down. Tangle Barb's going to net an escape route for Ariandel and Pakis. And when all is said and done, kills exchanged on both sides.
Said and
Poor
done.
Reasoning, he's not done. He's going to scoop one back in, but an Ori B has re-arrived to the play, and Pakis is going to punt Poor Reasoning back into the team and net a kill over to an Ori Boo.
What just happened? It's 4-2 now. 6 kills happening in that extended fight. Bot laners were level 2 at the start of that. Poor Reasoning is still level 2 because they died twice in that fight here. Entire time we see farming on the top side, and Gentle Hearts Gaming coming out. Coming out on top after I sneeze.
Got a little
over.
The level ones. It happens to the
Fade
best
away.
of us. One more harpoon, and Diesel picks himself up a solo kill.
Man, the fadeaway harpoon Yodi doesn't even get the CS in the passive here for Valley. That's tragic because you're down 2 waves worth of CS. Now you're down a kill. Likely not going to be getting too much help here because Saknam a little bit behind after that whole kerfuffle there. Doesn't have too much time to help out. And the top side, especially when bot side is going to be such a pariah. They're rolling on up here. Will be spotted by the control ward, but is that enough here?
Powerball in, gonna get tanked up by Pockets, and Pockets has nowhere to go. Saknam cleans up that kill, and Inori can throw out a couple of spears, but that's the best they're gonna be able to do. A nice cleanup there by Saknam.
Able to get another one back in their pockets here. 5-3 is the score line. And Saknam definitely taking a few notes here. Just start camping bot here. Put this Callista 6 feet under. And get your bot lane ahead here, because this Kai'Sa can take a lead and run with it. And yeah.
Want to pay close attention to Ariandel. They've gotten a couple of early kills here and are looking to flex them on Holy Kerp wherever possible. Having already gotten that Hextech Alternator, now taking over to level 6, but Poor Reasoning is lurking in the shadows. The shield that Pop Blossom provides will help keep Ariandel safe, and yeah, they're just going to decide to back away from the play and look for the dragon.
Now you're gonna look for the dragon here. Just gonna back. Could have looked for it. I mean, we have the Observer 2020 vision right now. We see that Nocturne's topside. We see Inori be back in base right now. And things just gonna be taking a little bit of a chill pill here. Krakedon still only level 5. Hopping around this mid lane though with Pockets, so maybe they look for something here. Maybe they just look to establish some control over River because First Dragon is still available.
First Dragon going to be the name of the game as they set themselves up in that river, trying to fight for, at the very least, some vision control. Pockets and Poor Reasoning both still at level 3, so going to be maybe a little bit weaker than they'd like to be, given all the time that they've spent chasing around fights in this early game compared to the level of the field. They'll be catching up before too long. Krakedon is starting on up the dragon, and doesn't look like there's going to be a contest mustered up here by the Nuke Hunters. Hacknom's still up on the top side.
So, free early objective here for the Gentle Hearts Gaming side. A little bit of extra stats here, everybody, except the Alistar for Pockets. Definitely going to be building some form of AD or AP, so they'll get some value out of it.
Wow, Holy Kerp walking back through the Blooming Burst there takes a lot of damage from Ariandel. Now probably going to have to take this recall. Doesn't have access to the teleport either. Pockets is here to guide in a nice push, as this is going to be a really clean recall angle for Ariandel.
Yeah, 72 CS here on this Nico with this back. Should be able to get some nice pickups here. How's the Hextech Alternator? So might be looking for the Proto Belt here. Or Night Harvester. Either one. Dive in the bot side, coming on out, misses the poke.
Yeah, Great dodges from Inori B so far. Arch going deeper, but
There's
Arch
no
can't
way.
get the turret.
Oh,
Inori B flashes
there's
away.
no
Now
way.
fighting his way back to the turret. Inori B, you've got to be kidding me there with the 1 versus 2. Outplays them both, breaks their ankles, and claims himself 2 more.
Oh my god, the Q missing from poor reasoning there was the difference for Inori B living and Inori B dying. 3-1 is this Callista, now skyrocketed ahead. That is going to be such a pain in the ass to deal with here. Because once again, Inori B has found a huge lead in this bot lane. And we've seen what happens when that happens.
Oh yeah, Inori B. Rammus or no Rammus, you leave him alone in the 2 versus 2 for a little while. Doesn't quite dodge the crash down, but other than that, plays it about as perfectly as you could. Great flash angle found, great dodges on the stun initially coming on through from poor reasoning, and just incredible stuff there out of the young marksman from Gentle Hearts Gaming. Gotta be happy with that one on the highlight reel.
I mean, yeah, Noribi's got to be insanely happy. I know the Gentle Hearts gamers in chat. There's been some Gentle Hearts gamers fans in the Twitch chat, so they're probably pretty happy right now. I know that for sure. When all is said and done, though, small but noticeable lead here for the side of Gentle Hearts Gaming. They got the dragon. They got about 2.5k between them and the opposition. Looking to put their feet down in this game. See if they're able to continue expanding this lead, or if Nuke Hunters will be able to start rallying back here, because it is still fairly close.
Still definitely space to play with for the Nuke Hunters. They've got to steel themselves mentally. They are not out of this yet. And Arch is actually quite strong right now, despite the 0-2 scoreline, despite the kills given over to an Ori B, because Arch has an item completed, right? Arch has access to the stats of a completed legendary item in the form of this Umbral Glaive, and the power spike they can look to play through. They're trying to, with Saknam lurking around here behind the turret, charging up the power ball.
Oh, gonna miss on that. There's the power ball.
The taunt landed onto an Ori B. They're just gonna try to melt them down, but it's turned back around onto Arch in an instant. 2 kills coming over to Gentle Hearts, and they're gonna make it 3. An Ori B finds 2 more, and in an effort to get themselves back into it, Nuke Hunters are further behind than ever.
Oh, and it only gets worse. The Herald popped in this bot side as well, looking to pick up first turret here. Or at the very least, put this turret on Death's door here. This Callista now has skyrocketed into the stratosphere with this lead that Inori B has generated. Great counter gank coming out by Krakadon there, popping the paranoia. We even see the teleport coming on in from Ariandel, just to make sure that things go heavily in the favor of Gentle Hearts.
Heavily in the favor of Gentle Hearts, they are 4K in the lead now at nearly 12 minutes. Has got plenty of control in the mid and bot lanes. Top lane's been pretty quiet, but when it hasn't been, it's been because Diesel's picking up a solo kill, so he's got to be plenty happy as well. They're stacking up dragons. Another one going to be up here in about 30 seconds, and looking like another one of those games, Gopherino, they can't find a way to disrupt this play pattern on the side of Nuke Hunters.
And they're gonna want to recuperate something here soon, because now the gold lead has kind of rocketed up. And you gotta look for something here. You got a 1-0-1 mid laner, but that's against a 3-0-2 mid laner. I'll hold that thought. Bit of party in the top side. Powerball coming on out.
Yeah, soaring slam right on top of Diesel's face, but he's turning and burning with the help of the equalizer, and equalize it does as Diesel picks up the kill up against Valley. It's a 1-for-1 when 3 members were expended by the Nuke Hunters, and they're losing their bot lane turret at the same moment. First turret gold going over to Gentle Hearts.
Oof. Well, Nuke Hunters tried there, and they did get something there. They get more gold out of that because you were getting all that extra assist money. Paranoia in the mid lane. This is a done deal. Never mind with that flash. Great scout of the week.
Following up here on towards
Nord B with the flank.
What can they land here? They need to find something. Holy Kerp. Looking for the
available.
back. Has Arch coming on in. Void Seeker's at the ready. OCC gets landed though. Scout of the week doesn't find a mark, and They can't try to punish on this push.
And there's going to be defense coming out here from the Nuke Hunters. All able to get out alive from that mid lane dive, even though it was only really Holy Kerp under danger. But with Dragonon up, mid control solidified, side lane control solidified, looks like it's just going to be a second Dragon for Gentle Hearts gamers as they expand their lead further.
Starting up the drag here for Crackodon. Should be able to pick that one up here before too long, and should be up 2-0 in the objectives department. 3-0 if you count that turret, 4-0 if you count the Rift Herald. Everything is just coming up Gentle Hearts Gaming in this early to mid game spike. Zach Knob looking for another fight, wants to Soaring Slam onto Inori Boop, gets the taunt, but again, an interrupt from Pacus this time is going to stop Poor Reasoning from finding the chain CC, and Inori Boop can run amok in the follow-up. The stun does come on through, Unleash Power takes Inori B down, and now the shutdown gold going over to Arch as he wants to move forward onto Crackodon. He'll take Pacus instead, but here's Ariandel with the Pop Blossom onto 2, and here's Diesel off the teleport to burn down the rest. They've managed to shut down the carry, but they lose themselves multiple members on the other side.
2 for 1, although that 1 kill you picked up was worth more than 2 kills. So close for the Nuke Hunters there. You can see how low Pacus is. They're so close to being able to solidify a nice team fight win there. Paranoia's back up, baby. You know what's happening.
Oh yeah, Holy Kerp is dropping to the floor, and Poor Reasoning is crashing down to safety at the first chance they get. 15-5 on the scoreboard. Gentle Hearts Gaming can do no wrong. It's a great interrupt from Ari Adele, using the Shape Splitter to disrupt the Rammus.
Yep. Man, this is a rough position to be in. Even though it was kind of close earlier on, now, I mean, there's objective bounties up. They're up 2 dragons. They're up 6k gold. It's kind of looking done and dusted here, especially if just one more big fight goes in the way of Gentle Hearts Gaming. They're looking to end this out on a very quick 3-0.
Yep, they've put the combo sorted together once and gotten themselves onto Inori V with that Soaring Slam. They've gotten the taunt off. They didn't quite land a crash down from Poor Reasoning. Got interrupted by Pacus, but they finished up the kill anyway. They have so much single target lockdown, so much single target damage. They can blow up Inori B. But the problem is Ariandel now is very strong as well, and also represents a substantial damage threat. So you got to avoid overcommitting onto a single target. You got to kind of spread that burst damage, that single target lockdown out across multiple members. But you got to be careful to not end up leaving multiple alive at that same moment. It's a very difficult kind of balance they have to try to achieve in these fights.
Yeah, it's a very delicate balance. It's a seesaw with catastrophic consequences if you do goof up. There's the taunt coming on out. We'll see if this play works out for the Nuke Hunters. The stun gonna land on the real Nico.
Oh, I think he taunted the wrong target, and that means that the Pop Blossom lands onto 2, and REV shows up with one more spear to claim another, and now they're throwing down that Paranoia. They want to cash out even more on this botch fight from the Nuke Hunters, and that they will do, and Nori B picks up another onto Poor Reasoning. 18-5 on the scoreboard, nearly a 10k gold lead built up once again for Gentle Hearts Gaming, as they are showing no signs of slowing down here. They want to get us out here nice and early.
Very nice and early. It's only been 2 hours on broadcast so far. Maybe a minute or two under. I think we did start like a minute-ish late, but that aside, Holy Carp in a lot of danger here. Able to get a great stun into the shutdown there, so it works out in the end. We have a gank at the top side, but that equalizer's hurt him.
Yeah, but they do manage to avoid Valley going down in the first place. They just don't have any damage coming out of anywhere, though. They're going to have to retreat. Would have been nice to get Diesel as well, but that shutdown onto Ariandel, that is fantastic to funnel into Arch. He's already completed his Duskblade. Now he's going to have plenty more gold to get up onto a third item. It's got to be all about Holy Kerp and Arch. You've got to get these carries online, and you've got to have them to burst out the opposing carries at the beginning of these fights, because if you get time for an Ori B to stack up these spears to dance around these fights, it's just impossible for them to fight their way back in.
Paranoia is up. We know what happens here. There are 2 members.
They are going to be able to back out away. Crocodile taking a whole bunch of damage from Arch, but now it's going to be Pacus who's the next target. Holy Curve trying to kite this one out. Teleports channeled on both sides. Ariadel going to arrive first. Shapeshifts into the Rumble. Going to look to advance forward. Pacus tries to knock Arch back in, but actually sends him in the wrong direction. Arch
Here's
now
the
has the best angle on the fight he's had so far, but Nori B finds Arch in the back line, hunts him down, and cuts him down with 2 auto attacks. Valley going to be the next target now as Nori B has a free fire opportunity. Nobody is here to stop the Callista and execute down off of the Rend once again as a double kill's picked up for the bot laner. And Nori B arrives to the fight, turns it in his team's favor, and they're marching in towards the base.
Haven't cracked open the base just quite yet. That is going to be the first inner turret picked up here. Herald even summoned in the bot lane. Gotta imagine that's going to not crash into this inhib turret, as Gentle Hearts Gaming are going to be walking back. Wait, oh no, it does. Oh my, that is a fatty crash too. Gonna also net them soul point as well.
Can't be mad at that one. It's a lot.
If you're Gentle Hearts, yeah.
And the base, it's not opened quite yet, but it is looking pretty close to Joe over there. Go for, an 11k gold lead now for the side of Gentle Hearts Gaming. Fully online across the board. All of their members are stronger than their counterparts. Their team fight is come together excellently. Unless some serious mistakes get made, it's going to be really tough to come back here for the new Hunters.
These one might be caught. Never mind. Paranoia Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, when you pick and focus down the Rammus, 2 ultimates into the Rammus, sure, no problem. Pacus is going to find the engage with the backline, gets the knock up onto 2. Nori B is untouched in this backline, just melts down the support, and now can run amok on towards the Scion. And Nori B has not even glimpsed a carry in this fight, and it does not matter. He cuts through frontliners like butter and cleans up the fight again. It's 4 kills for 0 to Gentle Hearts Gaming.
That's gonna also net them the Baron here, completely free of charge. 4 kills, Baron. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of all but over right now here. If you're Nuke Hunters, you need like 3 miracles in a row at this point to even have even footing in this game, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, you need mistakes. You need unforced errors back front and center from Gentle Hearts Gaming. You need everybody on your team to be playing at their absolute peak, and you need Gentle Hearts to have a member DC. It's a lot of stuff needs to happen in your favor right now for you to be able to come back in this one. This is the biggest deficit they've played at yet this series, and it's about to get even bigger as Saknam has been found by 3.
Yeah. Ain't much you can do. So much damage from Diesel in the mid lane as well. Barbecuing these members, has the Jack shows, has the Demonic Embrace as well, forcing out that unstoppable onslaught. This should be a very easy inhib hiccup here as this turret is fallen.
Sure. Stun comes on across. Pacus going up forward, going to be focusing in on towards these Nexus turrets here before too long. This is going to be one last team fight to rule them all. Here's going to be the Soaring Slam into the back line again, trying to focus everything onto Nori.
That 5-man.
The Pop Blossom finds them all and cuts through this team fight. It's going to be a wipe for Gentle Hearts Gaming. A double kill to the man of the bot lane, and Nori B found once again as the ace is completed. And Gentle Hearts Gaming, with an incredibly dominant best-of-5 series, are going to wipe it 3-0. They are going to send Nuke Hunters home, and they are going to qualify for the top 4.
Yeah, every game ending under 27 minutes in this series is what, 20.5 minutes, then 26 minutes 45? And now this final game ends just at 23 minutes and a single second here. Speed running their way on in. And I believe we're joined by Slayer.
Yeah, go Frino. We spent just over an hour's worth of time on Summoner's Rift in a best of 5. That's just complete, utter dominance from Gentle Hearts Gaming, who have really just been impressing people across the board when it comes to North American Amateur. They are playing out of their mind right now. And like you heard Gordo say, they'll qualify for top 4 in Risen Champs. I mean, breaking down this game, Gordo, what's more to say but an Ori B, an Ori B, and an Ori B?
That's everything you got to say about this game. But I mean, I'm happy to talk about this kid for longer if given the opportunity. 18 years old. This is what people are talking about when they tell you about NA talent, guys. I mean, he is done so much here in his first real year of competitive so far. Played with Teamless Revenge throughout the summer, just barely missing out on top 8 of the NACL qualifiers both times. But this is a guy you got to be looking towards, not just for the rest of Risen Champs, but coming into the 2024 season to kind of, stack up on a more powerful team, get recruited by some of these higher funding orgs or on Gentle Hearts as they look to rebuild for 2024 and try to make a real run at some of the higher levels of competition here. This guy is bringing so much to the table, and he really showed out in this series.
Well, him and Gentle Hearts Gaming certainly ran away with this entire series. We'll take a look at those stats for the game. Now, the third game that they just completely ran away with. And I mean, Go Farino, I don't really know how to tee you up here except just, my God, look at these gold differences.
Yeah, like it got out of hand really fast there, past the 12 or 13-minute mark, I believe. And you could kind of feel it happened as soon as they kind of goofed that dive in bot lane, and then there's a 3-1 in ORAB.
Yeah, and you just can't give a player of this caliber such a big window here. Big congratulations to all Gentle Hearts Gaming. Obviously, we talk a lot about Nori B. He performed super well, but you got to give credit. I think we have been, Gordon. You've been doing a good job of it. But the fact that the team around him has done a good job to make sure that they can put him as that focal point of the spearhead, but also able to do a bunch of work when he's not there. And that especially was seen in a couple of these fights from guys like Diesel and Ariendel with these pop blossoms and that rumble when Nori B was off in a different lane.
Yeah, you really got to give so much credit over towards the rest of the team, right? I mean, Ariendel, a player that I would have loved to be able to highlight Kraken as well throughout this series. Pakis as well. Everybody really showed up in spades here to be able to take down this opposing team. And they were favorites coming in, right? They come in with quite a bit of pedigree at their backs, but this is the kind of series that's got to get you excited for what we're going to be able to see coming up in the next couple of weeks as they're going to be playing up against some of the other really big favorites in the league, like the CCG squads.
Well, before we get there, though, Go Frino, it looks all bad here for Nuke Hunters in this series, right? But got to
Yeah.
give a lot of credit for them for how they played all season long because they came in as kind of a question mark roster. We didn't know too much about them, and they kind of had to fight tooth and nail basically from, I would say, week 3 on in the regular season, and to get to at least some sort of postseason match, a best of 5, is good progress nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, it does still take quite a bit of skill to make it into a chance for the playoffs here, since this is technically Playins and not playoffs, but it's kind of playoffs in our heart because you were in the top 3 of your group and did manage to move on here for a chance at top 4. Not able to make it, and in very destructive fashion too, but still, gotta put a chip on your shoulder, pat on the back for making it this far.
And now looking, talking more about that broad spectrum as we can start talking about looking ahead. I mean, we've kind of done and dusted, covered what this series looked like. It was a clean sweep for Gentle Hearts, but Gordo, what's interesting about this potential matchup now in the true playoffs when we get there for Gentle Hearts versus CCG Esports is the fact that I don't know how you feel about this, but I would argue the strengths of either one of these teams and the play styles they're going to play through are kind of opposite. You expect CCG Esport to play through those dominant solo lanes with guys like Dragoon and Messages, while we already seen Gentle Hearts Gaming are going to be all about playing through Nori B. Should be a really fun first series for the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, and given like Gentle Hearts have risen up in my power rankings over the course of the season, right? I've gotten to see them be really powerful in Champions League, even though we opened up. I think our first stream of the Champs League this split was no, it was my first stream. So it was
Yes.
week number 2 of the Champions League this split. Was CCG Futures 2-0ing Gentle Hearts Gaming. So they kind of got off to a little bit of a rocky start, at least in my eyes, but seeing them ever since and all the success they've had, not just here, but over in ACL as well, where they remain undefeated in their group, playing up against some really tough competition in that scene as well. I think this could be a really competitive series between them and CCG.
It'll be very interesting to watch Gofrino. Like we were talking about how the playstyles are going to contradict each other between those two squads.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be quite a hell of a time here, especially if we see Gentle Hearts Gaming continue the momentum they had this week going into their next series, because they're definitely going to want all the momentum that they can get here, because it only does get harder from here on out.
Yeah, it gets certainly very difficult. And for everybody at home who, I know we haven't got to talk too much about the playoff format, just to make sure everybody is familiar, we are now getting into the actual playoffs where it is just going to be a double elimination bracket. So the only set of best of threes, well, the first set of best of threes, actually, I don't want to get this incorrect, we're starting back to get there now that we're out of the play-ins, is going to be next week. We don't know exactly, I believe, who won the other series between Sam McKin Fanboys and the Iowa State Cyclones University team. Those two are going to be playing CCG Futures, and then you obviously have CCG Esports taking on Gentle Hearts Gaming. Those are not elimination games. Those are best of threes. But are going to really establish what the rest of these playoffs are going to look like, Gordo, because we are in that double elimination sort of stature. It's nearly a guarantee. I think it is a guarantee that these teams are going to, at least one set of these teams are going to see each other more than once if they progress in the bracket.
Yeah, definitely. It's a 4-team double elim bracket, so you're going to end up seeing some folks a second time. That's just the nature of the game. So yeah, I would be very surprised if we didn't see a couple of multiple matches there. For SFB versus ISU, almost certainly that series is still going on. I mean, we have raced
Yeah,
through this
that's
one as
fair.
quickly as we possibly could. So I don't think there's an answer to be had there yet. They're probably still playing their games, even if it's a 3-0 in one direction or the other. It's probably still going on. Usually 3-0s take longer than this. So there's definitely some room to be played with there. Yeah, and we'll see which match we end up streaming. I'm almost certainly going to be casting my vote for GHG versus CCG. I think
Yeah.
that's sure to be a really exciting matchup. But we'll see. Reschedules can influence that kind of stuff as well. But we're going to be back here next week for a best of 3 on the winner's side, regardless.
Before we get out of here, go Farino. I don't know how you've been feeling about who you thought was going to win the whole champs thing at the start, what you thought the match was going to look like. A lot of people have been feeling like it could be a CCG clash. What are your thoughts? You feel like that's where we're still heading for a grand final, or you think one of these squads like Gentle Hearts has a great chance?
It's a hard call right now, honestly, because we do have a lot of talented teams in this league, and a lot of the top teams are just really showing up. So I can't really give a definitive answer, in all honesty.
Well, luckily, we won't need a definitive answer because we are just getting started with that playoff action, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure to stick along for these 4 teams. You heard Gordo mention it. They're going to be playing each other a lot, so the storylines are really going to be coming through, especially with how much these 2 teams, or at least the 3 teams we have so far, are also know each other from other amateur leagues. But on the Risen front, everybody, this isn't the only league running. This isn't the only league going in playoffs right now. You've got tomorrow, Divine is coming back, the fan favorite league that has been around for so long, around Risen Esports. That has a bunch of teams who have recently promoted that have been showing out, so make sure to go check that one out, as it's been a tight race for the playoffs there. Then you've obviously got your draft leagues, Unstoppable and Dominate, that will all return next weekend. And then you can come right back here on Sunday, Risen Champs. You heard Gordo talk about it. We're going to show off 2 of the best teams Risen honestly has to offer in the upper bracket playoffs to kick off the official playoffs. But until then, that's been Gordo. Go Farino. Big shout out to Chippy behind the scenes, who stepped in for Caddy because he doesn't love us anymore. So great job on the production there. And we will see you guys next week for some more Risen Champs League action. Until then, take care.